or something.
That is correct. It's the
Or
14th week already. This could actually be some trouble for my man Cal Burns, as Mikolai is making it look like it's a very casual race from the button, but he's actually
there's a
sitting on ace king. He's
jam.
gonna call. He's gonna call.
He
Oh my
has to
goodness.
call this. While
Yeah.
Kale putting the pressure with 2 6s. I like the play in general, but he is up against a coin flip.
No. Hold. Cal Burns,
Hold.
his tournament life is on the line here, and there is a king on the flop. So that means Burns is drawing to two outs. King on the turn doesn't really change anything. We need a six and a six only. That's not it. Wow. Did I just inherit the Nano Noko curse over here? What has happened? Oh my goodness. Mr. Burns, last time he made it to the final table, he finished in 8th place. Today he went out in ninth. Kel Burns walks away with $54,000. So obviously not the worst, but he came in with a pretty decent stack. So we're hoping for more. We've got three absolute monsters here on the button, in the small blind, and the big blind. Now, this hand is going to be fireworks. Is that just all in call? Or
I
maybe
think it
Isaac
is.
Baron gets away?
I think it's a three-way all-in coming up because Mike Watson is going to shove worse than ace queen suited. And Isaac Barron's got a lot of chips. He can spew off 15 big blinds, and it's not really a spew. He can put it in. I just don't see how he folds ace queen suited. There's
No,
the
and he
call.
does it. And Chris Fitzgerald's like, what? What do you guys have? But he's obviously hoping for this kind of scenario, right? Ideally, they both have ace king, but ace king, ace queen is something that does make some sense. And then your jacks are not in the worst shape. So let's
So
get it on.
what Chris is thinking right now is, should he fold for a ladder? This guy likes to
No,
ladder, and I see him, right? I wouldn't fold personally because I would be
no.
going for the win, right? Like jacks could be crushing, could be up against tens, eights, two
Yeah,
ace kings, this stuff. But he's definitely
no.
thinking about you. You remember him folding all those hands, and
I remember, but no, Chris Fitzgerald will not fold this, okay? I do not believe that. I remember that final table where you got a bit upset and he did fold the tens pre-flop really quickly even as well. And it was okay. It was a bit safe. You can't fold jacks here, Chris Fitzgerald. Come on, please don't do it. Don't do it.
it really does look like he's gonna fold. Oh man, dude.
No.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. ICM point of view, it's a fold, but I would have just open shoved myself then if I'm gonna fold these two jacks. Like just put your opponent out. I I can't remember the last time I raised folded 11 big blinds, pocket jacks on the
Pocket
button.
jacks.
He folds.
No! Oh my goodness. And now the ace king is going to double as well. See? I mean, obviously hindsight, you can say like, well, it was a good fold, but I don't like that fold, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like it at
Isaac
all.
Barron.
Oh my goodness.
Now you like it because Isaac Barron
No,
has runner flush. Watson out again. Oh my
that's
god.
being result oriented, man. Mad Dog again finishing in 8th place. Michael Watson will walk away with $73,000, but no, Nano, that's not how we reason at this final table. I don't care. It could have been four aces, it could have been quads and quads, and I still didn't like the fold. I really feel like the jack should have gone for it there.
That's a Chris Fitzgerald play. When he's a short stack or a medium stack, he wants to ladder up. When he's a big stack, he wants to punish and try to bluff, but he's not close to a big stack right now. But it works for him, I guess. And I guess in hindsight, he's still in the tournament, and he might get another page up.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair to Chris Fitzgerald, he would have been eliminated otherwise, and now he already made a pay jump. He's still in, but Nano Noko, this hand could be some fireworks as well. I feel like we've got no time to chill tonight at all. There is some feisty action at this final table of the Super Millions. Isaac Baron opening up under the gun, pocket queens. Mario is sitting on the ace jack offsuit, and then Arseny is sitting on the ace jack suited.
Yeah. I like the three bet with the ace jack. I think all the other pretty ace jack sixes and threes will be out of here, and I like the re-raise because Isaac Barron is almost a chip leader who's going to be opening a lot. Ace jack's a good hand to three bet with. You got the ace blocker. The hand plays decent in case you get called. In general, I think ace jack here is a three bet or fold, but
Oh my God.
actually it's a cold four bet. I'm surprised from a guy with only 29 big blinds going for the cold four bet. Actually, though, if you think about it, his read is actually spot on.
Wow.
Wow, the queen's folded. Oh
You
my
get
god.
He gets Isaac Barron to fold. So we just saw someone in the previous round fold Jack's pre-flop, and now we see Isaac Barron, the man who's second in jigs, just fold Queen's pre-flop. No. I've been away for 3 days. Okay, I've been disconnected from the internet. What has happened to poker? Are we playing a brand new game? What's happening?
Most of the time, when someone's got 29 big blinds and they 4-bet, especially cold, they're shoving all of the chips in, right? So Isaac Barron's like, is this guy getting greedy with those 2 aces and 2 kings? Because if he had ace king, he probably would just jam it in. He's probably like, this no way he's cold 4-betting like ace jack suited, you know? I think Isaac Barron really leveled himself with the way the chip stacks were, and I don't know if I could fold those 2 queens myself, but he's not going to feel good about it when he sees it.
I actually think Mario's in some trouble here. I actually thought he was going to be in more trouble pre-flop, but maybe he didn't want to get too carried away. Obviously, there's still Chris Fitzgerald, right? Like, we almost forget about him, but he's sitting there on 6 big blinds. So I think a lot of the other players, they don't really want to make these spots bigger than they have to be. But normally, if you've got pocket nines here against the chip leader who opened under the gun, you're going to feel really good about your pocket nines.
You're going to feel really good when your opponent also checks to you on the flop from this position. This is very tricky. Mario's in very big trouble. The only thing that could save him really is Chris Fitzgerald, really. I think that very small stack size might get him to just think, maybe I should let go of my 2 nines, but there's a chance he just commits because Rudy's line is very, very non-standard.
Under the gun open, check, raise, flop. Oh my god. This board is just like, it just keeps getting nicer for nines. Like, I don't like it at all, Nana. This feels like an evil setup. But you're right, there is still Chris Fitzgerald. If Rudy checks here, I think Mario will absolutely check back. But that is a disgusting bet, man. I feel for Mario. What a sick spot this is.
Yeah, it's just tough because it looks like the chip leader is trying to bully you. He's not in this spot. I this is just pure hand reading the player. You know, it's not a normal line. If Mario gets away, I think he's looking straight at Chris Fitzgerald, who's the big blind really soon. 6.5 big blinds. I think I like the conservative play if he does make it, but I wouldn't force him if he does commit.
I'm just double checking something real quick, Nano.
Yeah, no worries. But he's in a very, very tough spot here. He did sell 90% of his action, so there's a chance he's thinking, "Look, I'm only in for 1K. Let's just go for it." But you know, this is nasty.
I hate the spot for Mario. I feel disgusted for him. And I do feel the longer you think, the more you start thinking, I'm beat here. But then there's also that little voice in your head. He's like, he's doing this with like ace king, ace queen, and he's trying to be a bully and he's putting pressure on me because there is a short stack at the table, right? Oh, he makes
no.
the call and we can't blame him. But Nananoka, there's no way there's a 9 on the
There's
river,
no
right?
way, because there's only 1 9 left in the deck, and it's not it.
And that is going to be the end for Mario. Super Mario, our professional football player or former professional football player, is eliminated in 7th place. Sold 90% of the action using the staking feature within the client. Still, I mean, a $10,000 investment into 100K is obviously excellent. But that's just a very unfortunate hand, right? I don't think there's much to say.
It just really sucks. You know, his other option was to fold, to wait for Chris Fitzgerald to get it in, which he's about to get it in. I just want to say Chris Fitzgerald got another pay jump thanks to those jacks.
Yeah. We gave him a hard time, but if he would have called with jacks, he would have walked away with $73,000. And now, or if he would have shoved the jacks, and now he actually walks away with at least $135,000. Didn't Chris Fitzgerald once upon a time also survive for a long time with a short stack and eventually build up one hell of a stack?
Okay, this is actually getting a little interesting. So Chris Fitzgerald doesn't shove all in because, in case everyone goes all in, but in the man,
No.
48 king would be crazy. But Yuri just calls. And
Yeah.
I guess the ace jack to fold behind him. I like the just call because I think the eights can actually let go of his hand if someone else reshoves on him because
Okay.
that ICM pressure. Oh, this is
What?
cool.
The force. Rudy goes all in with the force. He knows that force will always make a set. So Chris Fitzgerald is in serious trouble. So far, the force is still good. Chris Fitzgerald needs an ace or a king only on the river, or he will be eliminated, and that is
Wow.
no pain. Fours do not make a set, but they do hold, Nano.
That is wild because that is such good hand reading from Rudy. I think he just knows that if Yuri had a hand, he would just reshove it, right? Because we're at a final table with big page ups. He got Yuri to fold the best hand, two eights, and that eights would have held. If Yuri had reshoved like a lot of people would do, he would have more chips, and Chris Fitzgerald would still be busted out. This final table has a lot of interesting pre-flop and post-flop decisions so far. Yeah, so Rudy's going to open up here on the button as my co-host fixes his audio. Anyways, Yuri's got king six offsuit. Definitely a hand he can consider defending with. It's got 17 big blinds. They're actually going to three bet it. Wow. Okay, this is very aggressive. It's the king six. He blocks the kings, which is actually very important. You block ace king and king queens, hands that want to kind of go for it. It's just also a little bit suspicious that he's just three betting and not rejamming from the big blind against the button. And Rudy, wow, reshoves the ace deuce offsuit. This is just an incredible read. Rudy is really picked up on Yuri's game, knows how he plays exactly because he's crushing him so hard right now. Like so hard. That was just such a sick play.
I once again apologize, guys, for the little technical inconvenience on my side. It's so weird because my settings haven't changed. I streamed today, everything was fine. Yuri is all in with ace king, and Rudy might call him with ace jack. Rudy does make the call. Can Yuri double up? Can ace king hold? Will that be a move?
Just one time.
Oh, nope. That's the dream card for Yuri there, drawing that on the turn. Yuri is, and that means that undercovered Ren, also known as Yuri, is back to 1.7 million. Ace Queen offsuit is going to open under the gun, gets called by King 8, and that's quite a flop. Obviously, Rudy makes top pair, but there is a flush draw on board for Mikolai, and Mikolai's been hitting some turns and rivers as well tonight, Nano. So, what about the Queen of Clubs on the turn?
That would be very bad. Anyways, even if he hits any club, though, it'd still be bad for Rudy, right? Ace Queen is going to be a strong hand on ace high board. Oh, that's a good one, right? Like it's like you pick up somewhere else, but you're out of position. Well, what do you do?
I think you can just check here if you Mikolai. I think I'd go for the check call personally. I mean, he is a PLO player, and PLO players do like to bet that draw. So
Yeah, that's true. A check raise would be real nasty. The only problem is you got so many chips, and there's some guys with some short chips.
And obviously, at this point, the pay jumps do get bigger and bigger. And once again, I mean, obviously, it's not as crazy as last week, but this is the second biggest prize pool we've had with the 352 entries. So these pay jumps are starting to get real big at like top 4, top 3. Does make the call with the king 8 and makes a pair of kings on the river. But I think Mikolai knows that is most likely not going to be good enough.
Yeah, it is. He can definitely have the best hand, but not for calling. More like to check down and just show it down. Rudy is going to just play it safe, and I think that seems fine given how deep they are. A nice spot for Rudy.
Well, let's take a look at this hand, because in the first hand after the break, Yuri wakes up with aces, and that is one hell of a moment. What do you do here? Okay, he calls.
Yeah,
all right.
I like it. Actually, I like it a lot because with 10 big blinds, the chip leader is going to open into a lot. He's just going to have a lot of hands that are going to raise fold. You're better off trying to find a way to pick up chips, and that's just by calling.
And he might just be able to do that, right? Rudy did make middle pair or second pair at this point, as we're on the turn. And if Yuri bets here, there is a good chance that Jack 10 will at least call one more street. Obviously, it's dangerous because Jack 10 could improve, and then all of a sudden your aces could be cracked. You're out of the tournament, but you want to start making some proper chips here. The run out is almost perfect for Yuri, I'd say. I think there is a good chance he will get a few more chips here on the river.
Yeah, yeah, I think he should be probably jamming usually. He'll go for like a 500-600K bet, but you're almost all in, so it doesn't really make that much sense.
300K. I would bet 300. Oh, he
Yeah, so
bet
he's gonna bet.
720.
Try to try to entice his opponent a little bit more, get him a good price, and Rudy's in a tough spot. It's just when you check back, you look like you got mid pair. You got mid pair, and sometimes you got to call down just because otherwise you're just folding too much. He's trying to think how often Yuri will actually make this play as a bluff. There are a lot of hands he beats. Pretty much any diamond draw, any straight draw, and they would play definitely the turn this way. The question he's asking, would those hands keep betting on the paired
Wow.
8? And he thinks yes, but he's wrong.
Very, very well done by Yuri, previously known as Undercover Dren. He's really been finding his way back up now. No? Like at one point, he was at 800, 900K. He had that tough decision, right, with that pair of jacks on the river when his opponent put him all in. I think it was Isaac Barron back then who had the wheel. He made the correct fold, and now he's back at 2.6 million. Sure, he's still the shortest stack at his table, but that's already one hell of a comeback.
Yeah, and the vibe I'm getting ever since he's got those chips is going to be a bit grindy. A lot of guys have been kind of just taking it post flop, but keeping the pot small. Like Mikolai, Isaac Barron has been, being a little tight in some spots as well. I think we're in for a long one right now as these guys try to battle out, see who, if one of these short stacks will get shorter, but they're not that short anymore. They got 20 to 25 big blinds.
That's fine by me because it felt that the start of this final table was a true whirlwind. People just kept getting out, knocked out left and right. We lost 4 players in like 25 minutes. And I was like, well, this could be our shortest show ever. And that's obviously not what we're hoping for because we are here to watch some proper poker. And I mean, these guys are playing for a lot. There are plenty of times. First place was 400, 440K. That's second place right now, Nano. First place is over $500,000. I mean, that's when we want to see some proper post flop play as well, right?
Yeah, and this is some proper post flop. It's a lead with the 2 5s on the turn queen, which is very, very interesting. Just trying to take control of the pot. But the 5s should be winning because Isaac Barron's going to think the ace high has got way too much showdown value to turn his hand to a bluff usually.
We'll see what Yuri decides to do here. But on this kind of a board, he got to feel pretty good. He might have even been thinking about, I could get some value out of an ace high, right? Because I feel like a lot of the ace highs, especially big stacks, are definitely willing to call 1 and 2 big blinds on a board like this. I know that whenever I'm sitting on ace high on a board like this, I'm like, they're trying to get me off a chop. Nobody's getting me off a chop, no, I'm going to defend my chop. So Yuri is sitting on king 9 offsuit. Well, he's the big blind and he's sitting on 60 bigs. He's shoving and he gets snap called by the ace 9 of Rudy. And Yuri will receive the bad news that he needs a king and a king only at this point. And it's still just the kings. I think this is the end of Undercover Dren. And
no
a great
way
summer.
There's a king on a river.
Not this time, Nano. It doesn't always work like that. Yuri will walk away with $185,000, finishing in 5th place. You guys saw the beautiful gold line he had around his avatar. Means he is a WSOP champ.
I've been saying it, but Rudy's playing very, very good. I like his chances. But look at this, Isaac Barron out of line the king 7. I don't think Mikolai is going to get involved. I don't know, just given how he's been playing. But this is really good timing.
No, this was the long con that Isaac Barron has been playing, okay? He's like, you know what? I'm going to fold queens pre-flop very early on into the show. I'm going to let all of them watch it. And then by the time we're like 4 left and the delay hasn't really caught up yet, but they all know. Oh my goodness,
Mikolai gets
Mikolai.
it done. Okay, you know what? Mikolai.
Wow.
Good read there. I didn't think he was going to do it, but
That's
very,
sick.
very sick.
That is a sick play with ace-10 offsuit. He's immediately opening up the next round as well with king queen. Gets called by ace-10. Oh my goodness. Obviously, both players make a pair. Both of them have a gut shot. What a move with ace-10 pre-flop, Nano.
It's a very sick move, right? I think you were right, though. Isaac Barron's like setting it up. It looks really credible, and I thought it was very credible, right? But these guys, they're always one-upping each other in this game. And pre-flop decisions have been pretty interesting from all these guys, and they've been making some good
Uh-oh.
reads. And it's
Don't know
another
about this
bet
one,
here
though.
for King Queen, but yeah, it's not going to be too good. Blind Pew makes a boat. It's a nut straight. Well, not a
Yeah,
nut
but
straight, just a straight for Mikolai.
I mean, how good can you really feel about your Broadway straight on this board? It's like, okay, if it goes check check, but I like the fact that Arseny is leading out. I feel like he's almost targeting a king at this point. Gets called there as well. Blind Pew takes down a 4.4 million chip pot. So after all the pre-flop success Mikolai had in the previous round, he gave all of those chips away already in this one. Well, Blind Pew might go for it here. He may not love it, but 6 bigs. He is going to shove Jack 7, and he gets the Jack 7 to fold in the big blind. So well done there by Blind Pew. Blinds go up again. Big blind right now, 300K. And Isaac Barron wakes up with ace king one more time.
Isaac thinking, should he just open, rip it in, or just raise? I kind of like open jamming because you don't want to let Rudy defend that big blind and maybe you lose some chips because of how short the other two guys are. If the other two guys are deeper, I definitely would just be open raising. And ace 3 is folding.
Wow. What do you
Oh,
make of that?
this.
Oh, Isaac. Oh, what a sucker. These are the spots I live for, Nano. Yes, I'm a sicko, but oh, he knows that Rudy has been shipping all sorts of garbage. And the sevens fold. I mean, you can't blame him, but
I don't
oh.
blame him. The hand is. He knows he's usually ahead, but the problem is he is flipping a lot, and it's just. This is a clinic right now for Rudy. Rudy, just give him the money. Just let the other three guys just play it out for fourth, third, and second.
Rudy, Jack 6. He's like, well, if they keep folding, I keep shoving. I think Mikolai might call, though. No, he folds ace deuce suited as well.
Ace 9 is out, ace deuce is out. This is the dream scenario.
Oh, no, because, oh my God, this could be it.
Three-way.
Sixes might
This
shove.
is the three-way all in, right? The sixes can't fold this.
All right. And now, this is it, guys. A three-way all in, an ace or a 6, and at least one of the other guys survives. Instead, we have a set of jacks, but there is a flush draw.
Oh, or king.
Flush draw. Flush draw or king. Is that an ace? No, it is not. So it's a double KO. Does that mean that Arseny finishes in fourth place, right? Yeah, because he had less chips. So Arseny finishes in fourth place, $252,000. Mikolai still finishes third for $340,000 and some change. And we are heads up. And Nano, this doesn't really feel like a fair fight. But I guess we have seen crazier things in poker.
But I mean, this is Isaac's probably like, thank God I got 2 bust outs in one hand. This is potential all in and call hand. Depends on how Isaac decides to play it. That's just a wonderful situation for Isaac Barron. That's what he wanted. He wanted to fade out the 2 other guys. It is Rudy just shipping in again, and the king 9 might end up calling here. It is reasonable to call here. It is heads up. You limp the button. I wouldn't blame him if Isaac Barron calls here dominated.
If he does make the call, he's obviously going to need a lot of help, because he will indeed be dominated. This has been a prime example of someone running away with the victory over final table. Jack 8 in the small blind as he now dropped down to 23 bigs. Rudy makes the call and makes top pair. It's not getting any better for Isaac, who does pick up a gut shot.
Yeah, it is reasonable to always bet your inside straight draws and heads up because your opponent would usually just whiff and check fold, but not for Rudy this time. And it's the straight for Isaac Barron. Isaac Barron is back in the game.
This can become a pretty juicy pot because it's a pretty well hidden straight as well, I'd say. I mean, King Jack, Jack 8. It's like, how likely is that really? Is Rudy going to let go of top pair? I mean, we know that Rudy is capable of folding top pair. He's done that many times, but this would be an insane spot to fold top pair.
I mean, this is also heads up and a very drawy board, and I think I don't think he's going to fold. It's just it'd be amazing. He has been folding correctly almost every single time, but this is tough. Heads up early.
Yep. Isaac Barron not sitting on the nuts, but the second nuts, and that is that definitely feels like the nuts when you're playing heads up. He will make the shot for 4.5 million. Rudy still sitting on top pair. And he, like, there's always this voice going through your mind. If I'm right here, the tournament is over, but he's not right now. No, he makes the call, and Isaac Barron chips up all the way to 14 million. I don't know if we are just blessed with epic heads-up matches at the final table of the high roller Super Millions, but this is really starting to look like something. Oh my God. What is happening, Nanonoko?
Isaac Barron was picked by Nanonoko. Don't forget, guys. He's at the trip sixes against the over pair. Isaac Barron probably going to go for the check raise. And man, Rudy needs a run out that saves him, like a spade over card, or you know, something like this. A six would be the worst card in the deck. Ace is it's a safe card for him. It could maybe save him some chips, but I still think he's going to lose some more chips.
Yeah, he might be able to. He doesn't have to double his opponent up in this hand, but wow, Isaac Barron makes the check. It makes it seem like he's got a 9, right?
It looks like he's got a 9 or like just a bluff. And the thing is, Rudy can have a lot of bluffs. Try to induce them. The fact that Rudy checks back the turn, Isaac Barron should think he's got showdown value. Because if Rudy had like 10-8 straight draw, he probably would just bet the turn. So I would like to see Isaac bet here on the river card.
Well, I definitely think he is going to bet. The question is how much. Well, he overbets spot. I don't know how I would have felt about it.
It doesn't really make that much sense as a bluff though, and that's a very nice fold for Rudy. Like, two twos and 2 jacks, but they are super deep, so deep that I don't really see Isaac Barron just 4-bet jamming 50 big blinds. It would be quite excessive. I think it should go raise call.
That'd be a punt. I've seen a couple of crazy punts at these final tables. I remember the sevens, right? Was it sevens or A7 against the aces? But
I mean, it's heads up, so it's it is going to be an all in.
No,
Rudy's looking for the emote. Yeah, he was looking for the just one time.
Oh my goodness, Isaac Barron did a great job in climbing. Oh, makes this
on the flop.
The Nanonoko blessing is more real than ever before. Rudy needs a jack, doesn't get the jack, and all of a sudden, Isaac Barron is a massive chip leader. Can you believe it? Sucks out, hits his 2-outer. Nanonoko, I don't know what kind of thing you've turned around in your life, but you went from cursing people to just blessing them with tournament victories. Like Nanonoko has picked back-to-back winners. You know, maybe I just do better in the smaller fields.
There we go.
This is it. 8-6 suited all in. Isaac makes the call, King 3 suited, and flops the flush. Yep, and that is going to be it. Well,
can he 2-pair?
Full house? No. No full house, and that means that Isaac Barron will win the 14th edition of the High Roller Super Millions. Played over at GGPoker, walked away with $636,000. The second biggest first place prize we've had. One hell of a journey tonight, Nanonoko. Where do we even begin to recap everything we just saw?
It was a $180,000 heads-up match roughly, and it was in Rudy's hands. He didn't grab the money. It floated away over to Isaac Barron.
Welcome to another edition of the High Roller Super Millions played over at GGPoker. It's week 15 already. Things go by fast if you're having a great time. And we have been having a great time over the last 15 weeks. And and we hope for another epic, awesome final table tonight. As always, I'm Kevin van der Kooi, also known as Rotterdam in the world of StarCraft 2, and of course, I am joined by the one and only Nano Noko. What's up, Nano? How's your life?
Everything's good, man, and I'm happy to be back. And of course, it seems like our field size has, on average, been a lot bigger, which is cool to see, I think.
Absolutely. Today is, of course, the 22nd of September. We are here every Tuesday. This tournament is always played on the Sunday evening, and then we play all the way down to the final 9. We postpone that final table till the Tuesday evening, at least for us in Europe. And it's fun. We've got another good lineup. Of course, as you guys know, we spent the first 25 to 30 minutes kind of just going over the lineup at this final table. We call this our little pre-show. But before we take a look at these 9 players, Nano, you've been seeing any fun stuff in the world of poker as of late?
I'm trying to think. I mean, it's always fun out there. My brain's a little dead right now. I feel like there's something, but if I think of it, I'll let you know.
Okay. You know, what has really been standing out for me this week is I know that we've been talking a bit about the staking future on GG, and we also mention it whenever players use the staking future or they sell some of their action. But this week, I actually started really experimenting with myself. I was like, let's see what happens if I sell action. For some reason, people keep believing in me, and that's really fun, right? Because I can play all these tournaments, and you know, I feel like a little less pressure, even though I really want to do well. But it's actually super fun to play a tournament, but then also buy like little bits of action of some of the other players in the tournament, because then you don't just follow your own journey, but you actually follow all the other guys that you invested in as well. And I gotta say, it's even way more fun than I thought it was. At first, I was like, yeah, this is really cool that GGPoker is doing it, but that's not so much for me. I'm addicted right now, Nano. Like, I feel like investing in players left and right. Last week, I was up till 2 a.m. There is this Irish player. He's a real regular on GG. He plays in all the tournaments, and he plays on the account called UFC's Dana Witt. And he was playing one of those $800 buy-in events, and he was first with like 40 to go. And I think I bought like 5 or 6%, and I'm like rooting him on. He has no idea that there is a nerd in the Netherlands, you know, sweating him so hard at 3 a.m. Actually, absolutely fantastic. And I thought it was cool, the whole staking thing. Now I'm absolutely in love with it.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Yeah, I believe like, and people, they got a little section, right? They can write their little profiles like, yep. Oh, I'm really good, or I'm feeling really lucky, and they can write whatever they want. They can sell if they want to mark up, they want to mark down, whatever they want to do. So yeah, it's a really cool built-in feature. It's just something like, it seemed like a no-brainer to do for like online site to do, but GG was the first one that I'm aware of that included the GG staking. And it's automated, right? Like, it's not like, oh, I need to hope that you're going to send me the money later. No. You can just buy off of anyone, and everything's automated behind the scenes for you. And, you know, you can buy action of people you don't even know, but then you like, you know, sometimes guys, they put like little links of their results lifetime, and you're like, oh my god, this guy's super sick, but obviously he's playing a little bit higher than normal, and you're like, wait, this is the time to buy some action of these guys. And as you know, some players have actually, you know, used staking features, of course, in our Super Millions, and have done really well. And you know, I believe, if I remember correctly, there's a guy named Alexis Panamov or something. He always uses a staking feature, but he's multiple final tables here. So, you know, some of these guys, they're good players, but they just want to reduce their variance a little bit when they're playing a $10,000 buy-in.
And you know, it's really fun as well, because you mentioned the little bio. So I wrote my Twitch link, and I was like, let's crush it together. And I actually got people that have never visited my Twitch channel before, and they started like chatting in my stream, and they even like subbed and stuff. They're like, hey, I'm really enjoying this sweat. Keep it up. Good run so far. And like, that's just awesome, right? Because obviously, you know, you have your viewer base, and I have my StarCraft people that enjoy poker. I have a couple people that just watch for poker, but they have like brand new people that are like, yeah, I've never even heard of you. I was like, oh, I've been streaming for like 8 years. They're like, no, I just saw you. Like, I bought a piece of your action, and I saw that you're a streamer, so I decided to check it out. I was like, what a wholesome experience. I'm loving it. Anyway, guys, that's our little chitty chat. Let's take a look at the 9 players that have made it to the final table of the 15th edition of the High Roller Super Millions. We've got a really nice final table. A little bit of everything, right? We have a couple people satelliting their way in. We've got some familiar faces. We have people that have tried but never made final tables, now finally did it. So let's go ahead and take a look at our chip leader tonight for our 15th edition. who is a brand new player in Nanonoko. And you want to know something wholesome? This is already guaranteed his biggest cash at GGPoker. Even if he somehow busts in 9th place, which I really hope for him he doesn't as chip leader, this is already the biggest score he had over at GG.
Yep, also our first player from South Africa who's made our final table here at the GG Super Millions. And, you know, he's a high roller, as you can see from his avatar. We don't know much about this guy, but he's got all the chips right now. 51 big blind, 6.2 million. It's a pretty big stack. I guess let's see what he's got.
Well, you're gonna love this hand, or you're gonna hate it. I'm not sure. I'm actually really excited for you. I already take a look at it. Let's take a look at the hand that Kunku had. Well, one of the many hands, of course, that brought him to this final table. But Nanonoko, are you in love with this play, or are you just like, all right, that's a little too wild even for me?
This is a little too wild even for me. Wow. Okay, so let's walk it through. Okay, Daniel DeVoris is a very strong player. He limps in the 5-4 suited. Okay, not a big deal. Got a free flop. He check raises the flop of a baby flush draw. Okay, I can see that. Not a big deal. Then he decides to check call the turn 3. Now just hoping to hit his flush, it seems. And then the jack comes off. And now he just puts in a huge bet on the river with the 4 straight. This is one of those like, oh, please fold. I hope you don't have a king. It's reasonable for Daniel DeVoris to show up with a king here, and it's also reasonable for him to not have a king. To be fair, though, you know, this chip leader's line is credible in a sense that it does look like it could easily have a king, and you know, it's a bit wild in my opinion, but I'm not sure if I love the turn play per se, but you know, he got it done, and I just like very like. You got 2 cards, they get 2 cards. You can play poker however you like. You know, it's your money you invested, and you know, some of these guys, they're not used to these weird lines and stuff like that, and they can't find like the hero calls and stuff like that against them. So you know, it's definitely to your advantage if you got some tricks up your sleeve.
Well, this young man has tried to play the High Roller Super Millions 5 times. This is the first time he made it to the final table, but obviously he makes it as chip leader, so that's awesome. I don't know about you, but I want to see more. This is all I need to see. It's like, all right, let's get it on. Let's speed run this pre-show, and let's just get some cards up in the air, because if we get a few more moves like that, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a very fun evening. Now, speaking of the devil, you already mentioned him in this hand. Daniel DeVoris is our next player that has made it to the final table. That's obviously not the first time for him. Daniel DeVoris actually played in all the High Roller Super Millions so far. That is some damn consistency, man. This man, Sunday, he's like, that's a luck. The High Roller Super Millions is on every Sunday for 15 weeks in a row, apparently. He has played, and this is the second time we see him at the final table.
Yep. Well, it looks like he will be doing all right here. He's coming in second place. I mean, I said some people have 10 million lifetimers. This guy's got 15 million in live, 4 million on GG, so almost 20 million in total. You know, he won the Millionaire Maker. He's going to have a gold avatar, like a little golden ribbon around his avatar that indicates that he's won a GGPoker online bracelet. There's only so many of those guys right now that have one. So he's going to be something special. And he won the Millionaire Maker. He didn't win like some 100-man tournament. He won the Millionaire Maker. God knows how many people was in that tournament. God, how much did he win? He won 1.5 million in a $1,500 buy-in. So 1,000 buy-ins. Obviously, an amazing performance. He's a very good player. He plays all the live tournaments now. You know, he plays the Triton events. He plays all the big ones out there, 50Ks, 100Ks. This guy primarily before was actually exclusively a cash game player. He started playing as a short stacker, you know, kind of like the 20-40 big blind range. He also knows how to play 100 big blinds. And then like all cash game players are like, there's too much money, too easy money in the tournament scene. So he goes over there and plays all the 25Ks, 50Ks, and 100Ks, just like a lot of other great guys like Isaac Haxon, these guys. He's just very good. He's got a good network of people who he talks poker with. He's going to do well today.
Well, let's take a look at one of the hands that Daniel DeVoris had on his journey to his second final table. The previous hand was wild. I looked at this one, I'm like, that's pretty wild as well. But maybe you like this one more because it's Daniel DeVoris, or do you think this was also a bit reckless?
It's a play that regs feel like they should do, but they don't do, and that's what steps makes Daniel DeVoris steps over a lot of the other, like, you know, good regs, but not the best, right? Like, he's willing to take lines that he think will work. So just to walk you through the hand, in this hand, you know, he bets the flop, which is pretty standard, and then his opponent bets the turn into him on the 4 straight. But, you know, he's got the nut flush draw, and he can potentially represent a straight himself. And, you know, so it's a standard call on the turn here because you got a lot of outs and whatnot. And then the river pairs the top card and his opponent checks. Now, this is the important part. Daniel DeVoris can easily still represent a big straight. Like, say he's got like ace king suited. You know, he can easily represent a full house. The thing is, like, when your opponent bets so small into you on the turn, you're gonna probably call all your sets, so 10s, 9s, queens, and jacks. They would play the flop this way, and they would call the turn bet this way. So when the river pairs the top card, if you had a boat here, you would jam yourself, of course, because you want to try to get as much value against a king. But, you know, a lot of these guys would expect you to check back a king on the river card when it pairs, just because people like to be a little bit safe. So what Daniel DeVoris is, yeah, he's trying to bluff his opponent off of a king. And the thing is, he credibly can do it because of the board pairing, because most people, they actually just give up in this spot and not really just blast it all in. Or they'll bet like a third of the pot, try to save some chips just in case. So this is it's a really cool move from Daniel DeVoris, and I think that very likely he actually did get his opponent to fold a straight, a king, or probably not an 8. I don't really think an 8 would lead the turn this way. Otherwise, I don't actually know what his opponent could have that wasn't a straight, now that I think about it, because Daniel DeVoris is holding those ace of diamonds, where, like, say like a ace 10 of diamonds might play this way, but I think it's not possible. He's holding the ace of diamonds himself.
Well, quite a hand, quite the explanation. I love it, Nano. I always feel like whenever I make a play like this, I'm sitting here on my microphone on stream, I'm like, fold, fold. And then, like, I see the call, and then they give me the nice play as well. And I'm like, oh, no, it hurts, you know. All right, well, we look forward to watching Daniel DeVoris play, of course, an absolute crusher. And it's really cool to see him back at the final table. Speaking of crushes, we can take a look at our next player that has made it to the 15 final table. And that is also a very familiar face. Matthias Eibinger, he's back. Wasn't he in the final table the very first week? Yes, he was. And then I think just a couple weeks later, he also made it. He has made it to 3 final tables, has cashed 4 times, has played in 15 of these events so far. I gotta say, Nano, that's something I'm really starting to enjoy, that these are not guys that's like, oh, there is a 10K going on Sunday, let's play it. No, they seem to actually really be enjoying this tournament series, and they're playing it non-stop each and every single week. I think that's awesome.
And you're gonna love Matthias Eibinger because he has the emoji game. I remember on day 1, when on the first final table, he was using all the emojis and stuff, and he was doing like mid-hand against Michael Adamo, I believe he played, and I think he lost that heads up. That's the one he got 2nd place. But, you know, it's very cool. It's his 3rd final table. He did really well when this series started off. In July, he played them all and busted them all. But, you know, he's back here in September. I guess August he didn't do that well either. But, you know, it doesn't matter because he's up money in the Super Millions. His 3rd final table, coming in 3rd place. He's a co-founder with Fedor Holtz for Poker Code. And I remember last time, I thought he was really solid. I thought he played really good. Like, I feel like if you want to like look up to some players and try to model your game after someone, I think Matthias Eibinger is a great person to do that with, because he's not like reckless, but he's like doesn't give many chips away either.
I would almost say German efficiency, but he's Austrian, so we can't really roll with that. But I'm with you when you say solid. That's what I remember from the play as well. Like nothing too super out of line, and maybe not the craziest hands that he was involved in, but definitely just a lot of excellent decisions, and especially when he was put to the test as well. Let's take a look at, I want to say, one of the hands that helped him get to the final table, but I don't know if that's accurate because our editing team is just straight up cruel. And they're like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to select a hand which forced him to rebuy. No. He played ace king and he busted against the 9-8 of spades. What do you make of this?
Yeah, I love it. It's just, this is the hand that cruised them to the rebuy button and put in $10,000 more dollars. Yeah. Well, in this hand, it's just cool to see. You know, we don't usually see hands from the beginning of the tournament. It looks like this happened really early. The blinds were 500, 1,000. Squeezes the ace king, bets the flop, bets the turn, and shoves the river into the Stephen Chidwick, who backdoored the flush. But you know what the thing is? Stephen Chidwick didn't make this final table. Matthias Eibinger did. So, you know, that's the real important part about his hand.
It did help him get to the final table, right? Like, imagine if this hand would have played out differently. He would have been left with a middling stack and probably just, like, you know, bust somewhere close to the money bubble or something. So in a way, it helped him. It's just this one was a bit unfortunate, of course. But we are very happy to have Matthias Eibinger back, and I really look forward to watching him play some cards tonight. Let's take a look at our next player at the final table, and that is I want to say Neil Face, but that's not true actually, because Bruno Vogtman has also already made a final table in the previous 15 editions. And I remember also memeing a little bit about him becoming an aspiring tennis pro. I think that was the same time as we read about somebody beginning like an amateur golf career or something. That was just the week where everybody was like a sort of sports athlete, but they all ended up at the final table. But yeah, Bruno Vogtman, he's back. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, well, he did get 6th place previously in final table. I remember him getting involved in more hands than I expected, especially like a short stack. He was still going for like these min raises and stuff like that. But you know, he's done really well online. 6.5 million, like around. I can't remember what name he was playing off of, but regardless, you know, yeah, there was 2 guys that they were either both tennis players or one was a golfer, like you said, who knows, but this guy obviously very good player. I'll just tell you, anyone from Brazil, they're crazy, man. These regs are super crazy. They just like making these crazy bluffs, re-raising people all the time, and if I remember correctly, Bruno Vogtman was one of those guys.
Yep. Let's take a look at one of the hands that Bruno Vogtman had on his journey to the final table. This one did not really help him either, as he made a big call on the river and he was wrong. He went up against the aces of Daniel DeVoris. But is there something that really stands out for you in this hand?
I think the river call is exactly where it does stand out. You know, Vogtman, he does lose his hand, but he goes with his reads, and you know, it's a bit sticky, right? On the river, he calls the second pair, and with just second pair, not good kicker. And plus the flush gets there. I guess his read is that Daniel DeVoris, if he had a big hand, would probably bet the turn because there's three straight out there, or probably would have bet a flush draw on the turn. But, you know, maybe Vogtman didn't think about a little bit more.
Oh, I think we lost you, Nano. At least I have lost you. And I'm going to assume that this is just a minor issue on the side of Nanonoko, guys, because I can see my mouth still moving on the stream. So we're going to try to get Nano back on the stream ASAP. Damn it, now I've got to do hand analysis. Oh, my goodness. But yeah, the river call is obviously where I looked at as well. It's like, that is a big call. And yeah, with middling pair, Nano said it, a bit sticky. But yeah, if you feel like you're right, you're right. I have that feeling very often. And just a heads up, if you guys play with me over at GGPoker, most of the time I'm pretty wrong. So this one didn't really work out for Bruno, but we are excited to have him back at the final table. And I look forward to it. I believe that we're just going to move things around a little bit, but let's just take a look at our next player already. It is Phase O. I mentioned it earlier that 3 players tonight will have their automatic biggest cash that they've ever had over at GGPoker. I got reconnected to the call as well, but I do believe that everybody can still hear me. Nanonoko, are you back?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, matey.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what happened, but who cares? We're back.
Yeah, I love that. That is such a good way to deal with tech issues. Oh my goodness, esports can learn from you, Nanonoko. Yeah, I was basically in the middle of introducing Faso. I do believe that this is already, yes, it says on his profile as well, the largest GG poker score he will ever have. That's a great feeling heading into a final table.
Of course, and he's satellite in with the 1K tournament. Has played it 6 times. Hopefully he's satellite every single time, probably based on his results. And good luck to this guy. We don't know him, but maybe we'll add a face to his name soon.
Yep. Well, let's take a look at one of the hands that Faso had on his journey to the final table. He went up against a very familiar face. I would almost say a regular of the High Roller Super Millions, good old Ruin F, who bubbled the final table this week, by the way. I don't know if you saw that or not, but
No, I did
he
not.
finished in 10th place.
Yeah, well, he's going to make the final table again sometime, but this time it's going to be Faso. So I think this turn card is quite interesting that he decides to lead the turn, right? Like most people, they defend the big line, they check all the flop, they're going to check this turn and check call again and just play the river card. But leading the turn is very interesting and actually gets Ruin F to call with 2 7s. I actually think he would have got less value had he checked the turn, because Ruin F most definitely would check this turn, and I'm not sure he would pay a river bet off. I think Faso found some extra value. This is actually a pretty cool play. I think it's underused, leading the turn. Like people like to lead the turn on cards that pair the board or maybe a flush gets there or something, but I think there's a lot of cool tricks you can do with it. I think because people like to c-bet the flop a ton, right? But they don't like to, they like to check the turn back a lot. And I think that gives the person in position a lot of power. Like they always get to see the river card and things like this. So I think leads on turn can, negate that advantage in position. So, and I think it's quite underused, and it's cool to see it work here. And I think there's a strategy that's going to be developing over time.
Well, maybe we'll see some of it tonight at our final table. We've got 8 more minutes. We've got 4 players to cover, so let's go through the last 4 a little bit quicker. Let's take a look at our next player who has made it to the final table. Centrino 1 from playing out of Cyprus. Also guaranteed his largest GG poker score already. He did play a couple of the High Roller Super Millions so far. This is his 3rd appearance, and he has cashed twice, so a 66% cash record. Nanonoko, if he's starting to sell some shares, I'm gonna buy in for at least $100 next week. A good old 1% for the sweat, because that's a pretty good track record.
Yeah, and I think he only plays if maybe he's just feeling lucky or whatever. A min cash doubles his total winnings. This is cool, man. Another guy who's got his biggest cash today, and they could win a lot, over $500,000 today.
Let's take a look at one of the hands that Centrino had that helped him get here. And this one's actually quite cool. I looked at this hand and I was like, I think I like it actually. Like I like it quite a bit. We've got the pocket sixes and he's battling it out with Gravy Boat. As we can see, Fedor Holtz was actually on this table as well. But obviously, I think the key card here is the 6 of diamonds, correct? But talk to me, what do you see?
This is, it's a very cool play. It's, of course, when it doesn't work, it's a disaster. But the thing is, his play is very credible. Of course, it's like, he's got a little flush blocker. He's got a little straight blocker, which helps, although it's kind of like the low end of the cards. But you look at it from Gravy Boat's point of view, like people don't really make this check raise all in play with for bluff too often, right? Like usually they've got the straight themselves or a flush or a 2 pair or set or something. And I think like if Gravy Boat, say he had like 2 jacks, 2 queens, 2 kings, even with no diamond, I don't know if he can make this call because he could see drawing like very, very slim. I think if you're going to make a play, you want to have a lot of outs, and here he's got the flush draw and the straight draw, and I think it's very credible.
Well, I saw it and I was like, I like it, and I'm going to keep it in mind. I've had a lot of people ask me, they're like, hey, Rudy, when you're playing poker now, do you think that commentating with Nanonoko has helped you a lot? And I'm like, yeah. But it's not just the commentary with you. It's also just like seeing all these plays. And some of them I love. Some of them I'm like, I don't know if I have the courage. But this one on a board like this, I absolutely love this play. And like you said, obviously if you get snap called by an ace-high flush, you're going to feel really stupid. but you know, it is what it is, right? You got to take some chances in poker. So look forward to watching more of Centrino tonight. I think it's always really cool when these guys already guarantee their biggest score and they're still in the running for so much more. We've got 3 more players to cover. We've got 5 minutes, so let's speed it up. Next up, I believe we have Helen Clark. Cool avatar. Won the GG Masters High Roller while playing this. That is very impressive, but also satellited their way into this event.
Yeah, I don't know much about this player, but winning the GG Masters High Roller is always very sweet. 172K. The GG Masters is a freeze out, so you know it's one of their little series to make sure people who don't like rebuys can play at big tournament. And those fields are massive. Also satellited in, 16 big blinds. That's gonna work. We've seen guys with 5 big blinds chip it, right? So 16 big blinds can definitely have a chance.
Yeah, one of those early double ups and anything is possible. Let's take a look at one of the hands that Helen Clark had on their way to the final table. We had the good old pocket nines battling it out with ace king. What actually stood out to me the most in this hand is that ace king was still calling on the turn. And especially because obviously it's ace king of hearts and it's not diamonds. And I know that's not Helen Clark's hand, but that kind of surprised me, that call. What do you make of it?
Yeah, that's against Couch Potato, who I think is surveying loosely on that one special bracelet event. Regardless, I think the bet was so small. Couch Potato was just like, please just have, I don't know, 10-9 of spades or like ace jack of 1 diamond. The pot odds were too good for the ace king to fold. But the little lead. See, I'm telling you, the turn lead is what's kind of freezing to handcuff the person in position. We saw that hand from earlier from Face O that did that. And there's something with this turn leads that can definitely be very valuable. I think it just really freezes up your opponent, who's just going to check back that turn and get a free card. And now they're like, oh man, I don't know what's happening. And pretty cool, got some value here at the 2 9s and didn't let it go.
Well, I like to see it, and obviously hope for Helen that they have a great run tonight. Next up, we've got a somewhat familiar name in the world of poker, but it's not the name that most people will think of when they read Gross Jeff. Obviously, Jeff Gross, fantastic poker streamer, and I've actually been using his Spotify playlist for a long time when I play poker. We don't really have to go into details about this, but this is Gross Jeff, also known as Opeshka de Silva. A pretty well-known poker player, of course. Seen some of the footage as well. Hey, actually, I remember him. He was at that sick hand with Fedor Holtz, right? At the World Series of Poker main event. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't know much about him, but when I was watching the Fedor Holtz, World Series main event, he was battling with Upishka a lot. Yeah. Every highlight was him versus him. And then I believe that it was the silver that did get the best of Fedor Holtz in the end. But he's done very well, and he was a big fan of Jeff Gross. I've seen this name in the lobby. I was like, who the heck would use Jeff Gross? Is that Jeff Gross? Mexico? I'm not sure. Is it? And then now we know.
Yeah, it's really cool. I remember that hand, and I remember him saying, "It's like, what do I beat though? Like I beat nothing, but." It's Fedor, and it's like Fedor. That was actually really cool, and that was a really cool World Series of Poker main event as well. Very enjoyable to watch back then. Well, it's awesome to have him. Obviously, comes into the final table with only 14.7 big blinds. That's not that much. Let's take a look at one of the hands that definitely helped him on his way to the final table. The good old ace, jack of diamonds, making the nuts on the turn. Anything that stands out for you real quick, Nano, as we have 2 minutes?
Well, Danny R was the one he won all the chips in. I remember Danny R, man, he played against Connor. That was awesome. Danny R made some big wild play, 3-betting the queen 4 offsuit and got stacked by Gross Jeff. Good luck to Gross Jeff, because Danny R did not make it to this final table.
And look at that emoji game, by the way. De Silva gave him the nice play after he shoved into him on third. I always feel that one is a little BM. And, when you're shoving into somebody that has the nuts and they're like, nice play. I'm like, oh, it hurts. All right, we've got one more player to cover. And then we have completed the 9 players that have made it to the final table of the 15th edition. Let's take a look at the shorter stack coming in tonight, as it is Jans Arends, known as a Groftek. All right, a very familiar name over at that other poker website, Nanonoko. Really cool to have him.
Yeah, Groftek is very, very good. He's like the European, those guys are very good. I don't know much about how his style of play, but I know he consistently gets far.
Mhm.
If he gets some chips, like this he's gonna crush.
Yep. Let's take a look at one of the hands that Grafteco had on his way to the final table, as he played some good old 6-5 of hearts. Feisty board and a pretty feisty river bet against Jonathan Van Vliet of all people. What do you make of this hand, Nano?
It's just thin value betting. A lot of guys, right? They got the mid pair. They're just like, check river, please check back. But, sometimes when you need to go for value against the ace highs. But, sometimes the ace highs don't always call you.
Well, matey, it's 30 minutes past 8 p.m. in Central Europe, and that means that cards will go up in the air. Let's get ready to talk about some poker. Pre-shows are fun, but watching actual poker is obviously way more fun. 25 seconds. And then we still have seat selection as well. So I don't think we really need to rush that much. Matthias Eibing already giving us the emojis. Love to see that.
I told you.
All right, Nano. I have enjoyed teasing you in the past about cursing people, but you've been on a roll. So I'm going to put you on the spot and you're going to make the prediction for us. Who's winning it all tonight?
It's going to be Daniel Divorce. That's my guy. It's the guy who's won the bracelet before. This already on GGPoker. He's coming in second place. He's on fire, and he's got the Daniel Negreanu tilt emoji. He's just used one of the Daniel Negreanu emojis, right? Yeah, emotes. So he's my guy. I think he's going to do well, and he's a world-class player at a big stack, and he's actually was a professional short stacker cash game for a long time. He's going to get it done.
I'm actually going to go with Matthias Eibinger. I'm just feeling some proper Austrian poker play tonight. I think Matthias Eibinger is very solid and didn't run too hot at those previous final tables. I know he did get a second place, but even in that one, I feel like he was a bit quiet because he wasn't really able to make a lot of plays. I believe that Matthias Eibinger is going to get it done tonight. I think we're in for a fun final table. Last week, Nanonoko, somebody used the Daniel Negreanu not sure if emoji, and you're like, what was that? Like, I've never seen that before. And I was like, oh yeah, I've seen it. But then I started playing later that night, and I realized they have redone all the Daniel emotes. They're like, they used to be very pixelated and kind of clumsy, and now they're all very sharp and kind of like ultra HD, and they have some new kinds of emojis as well. So that's why we were a bit confused last week, but they've all been redone, and they look awesome. Which does beg the question, where are my Elky emotes? But hopefully one day.
Yeah, no, that's cool. And hopefully Daniel Divorce uses them. They should have, I don't know what the tilt emoji looks like for Daniel Negreanu. It should be him like getting like a keyboard and just smashing it or whatever.
All right, seat selection is almost done, and that means that cards will go up in the air. It's a fun dynamic because I feel like we have three somewhat shorter stacks, right? Like, we're looking at 15 big blinds, 14 big blinds, and 13 big blinds. But then the sixth player has 28 big blinds. So that's a pretty big difference. Do you think that means that people are going to hold out a little bit and, see if one of the shorter stacks busts? Or would you say like, nah, plenty of play with 15 big blinds, people will just go for it?
Yeah, with 15 big blinds, like it's not like everyone's gonna freeze up so much where they're gonna like overfold and stuff like that. Here, you kind of wait. You kind of just play your game. What should happen is the middling stack and these 15 big blind stacks actually will play reasonably tight, and then the big stack should drive the action.
All right, let's get it on. Shuffle up and deal. Week 15 of the High Roller Super Millions is live. And once again, if you guys just joined us, of course, this is a $10,000 buy-in event. $3 million guaranteed. It used to be $2 million guaranteed. And we had 305 entries this week. Everything was played on Sunday until the final 9. And that is happening tonight live right in front of us. Whole cards up. And our shortest stack, Jan Zarens, Grafteco, wakes up with ace-jack offsuit and is probably going to get it through.
Yeah, and looks like, yeah, he's only got 10 big blinds, so with the blinds going up, seems recently. Good play for him. That's what you want to do. You want to just take down the blinds and just survive a little bit longer for one of the other guys to bust out. It's actually Jeff. I was going to say Jeff Gross. It's Gross Jeff. Helen Clark.
The Silva is easier.
Yeah,
we can go with the Silva.
They're actually all really short, right? They got 10 to 12 big blinds. So
Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
the blinds did go up as soon as we started the final table. So the
yeah,
numbers we had were from the previous blind level.
correct.
Faisal, wondering what should I do here with my ace-3 offsuit? Just shoves it. He's like, get out of here, chip leader. What do you think you're gonna do? Raise all my blinds? Not gonna happen. That's a ballsy move, right? Because he's not one of the shortest stacks. And with ace-3, you really hope they fold. Well done.
And yeah, Face O is one of those guys that I think he might have satellite in, or this is one of his biggest cash, and that's really cool to see because the chip leader, of course, should be raising there all the time. And his ace rag was not that strong of a hand, but like there's a lot of guys with 10 big blinds left. Here's a tough spot for Centrino. Hopefully Centrino can get away from the ace-6, but the thing is, ace-6 is usually good. See, that's what you will see from the big blind with that shortest stack, but a lot of other short stacks out there. Just be cautious, like a side fold, right? But Face O, he got it done with his ace, 2 or ace-3 offsuit.
I gotta say, well done by Centrino there, because I think a lot of people will make that call. If I'm in that position, I'd be like, ha, they ain't pushing me around. What are you shoving there? There's no way you're favored against my a6. And actually, in this case, he would have been completely dominated, and it would have been very hard to survive. So Centrino is the one dodging bullets so far.
I feel like we gotta tell the GG guys, like if they win this Super Millions, they should get like a special avatar as well. So like Daniel Divorce, when he wins this, has a golden one, and then he's got another one for his Super Millions wins coming up today.
Hey, you can get like little rings on your ribbon, like a Super Bowl ring or something. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
All right, De Silva, one of our shortest stacks going all in here with the ace stand. And he is going to get it done as well. I think with those kinds of hands, you're always happy when, it gets through. And if you do get called, you're like, all right, please call me, with at least an underpair. Let me have 2 overs. Let me be live. And it's the case. Matthias Eibinger, my pick for tonight, wakes up with ace-jack offsuit under the gun. Would you always open ace-jack offsuit under the gun if you have the stack that Matthias Eibinger has right now?
I think this stack is very reasonable open. You should get a lot of credibility. When you raise from under the gun, you're going to get a lot more folds than normal. Of course, if you get played back at, you just pretty much throw your hand straight into the muck. And you see Kunkuwap, who wanted to play that 8-9 suited as a chip leader. It's just like, you're under the gun. Just let it go. But I think ace-jack offsuit is the worst, pretty much the very bottom of my range there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess it depends a lot on how many big blinds you work with. It is a bit tricky when you feel like you have 3 shortest stacks on the table, because even then, like if they go all in, I'm not sure if I really want to call those 7 or 8 extra big blinds, right, with ace-jack offsuit. But then again, you also don't want to fold all the time. Matthias Eibinger decides to defend the 6-3 suited in the big blind. Now that's a Roddy play if I've ever seen one. Do you like it, Nano?
I mean, I think it's okay. When you're a good player, you pretty much can defend the big blind pretty wide, especially when you got the chips to splash around, because these middling stacks, if they get played back at post-flop, they could easily... They can't really do anything because they don't want to like make some big bluffs and stuff like that, because it'd be very costly.
Well, I hope for our chip leader that he doesn't decide to open A7 offsuit here under the gun +1, because Faso is sitting on pocket kings, and he is going to be the one to open things up. What will Bruno do with his 7s on the button? You think he just tags along?
He probably calls, but I tell you, 2 7s are dead in the deck. So Bruno Volk, okay, good thing he folded, because there was no way he was going to hit a set. It was literally impossible.
Oh my God. What a flop. Nano Noko.
The curse is back. My curse is back, man.
Well, when you say that, I am also expecting another ace or 9 to roll. Well, 9 wouldn't be good. Another ace to roll off on the turn. That is not happening. Daniel Divorce flops top and bottom pair, while Face O flops a set of kings. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Sorry, Daniel. You're just gonna lose a lot of chips here. You're gonna become a short stack as well. Another bet from Face O. Daniel Divorce thinking, okay, should I just call here and maybe play it safe just in case I'm up against, ace, king, 2 kings, or should I just jam it in? There's a flush draw out there. Maybe you got a worse ace that can't really fold. Daniel Divorce got a crazy image.
Oh my God, he's got one out. He's got one out, Nana, because don't forget that Kunko Rap had ace 7, so there is literally one ace in the deck right now. that will save Daniel DeForest. That is not it. He loses all the chips and a big double up for Faisal. And everybody's showing their cards. Wow, what a flop. The Nano Noko curse is back, and I welcome it with both arms.
Oh man, I should have known. Like this guy's already won the millionaire maker. He can't be that lucky to win this tournament as well, right? No, just disaster. He's actually the literal shortest stack now.
That is insane.
That's just brutal. That is just brutal. But that's the thing. You defend hands in the big blind. Sometimes you're gonna get screwed over because you're forced to see flops, and that's one of the flip sides of defending the big blind too much.
And look at this. Faisal doubles up and he's like, I'm the man. Under the gun +1. King 10 offsuit. I'm opening it up, baby. Matthias Eibinger just calls with queens on the button. What do we make of that one?
I think this is actually just it's just one of those safe play things that Eibinger does. He's also trying to induce Daniel DeVoris or Jeff Gross to kind of try and ship it in so that they can, it's obviously queens would be crushing those guys' ranges. But Eibinger here, I think what he's doing here is a little bit of an ICM safe play. There's 5 guys with 10 big blinds. Let's just say, of course, he doesn't mind getting in, but if he busts before all these other 5 little guys, it'd also be disaster, even with the hand and strong queens. Because his stack size is quite small, Face O can get it in with like ace queen. Like he doesn't want to get in against like ace X, I guess, is his logic. I personally probably would have just shifted in myself pre-flop, tried to shut out the chip leader, but maybe there is some merit to just calling and trying to induce one of short stacks, but also see a flop and play safe.
This is kind of an embarrassing hand almost for Faisal, because now the entire table just saw that he opened King 10 offsuit +1 under the gun, and they're like, oh, all right, we know what to think of these raises. So there's a good chance that Daniel DeVoris is going to go all in here, as he's currently sitting on like 8 to 9 big blinds, and with ace 4 offsuit on the button, that seems like a pretty obvious play.
Yep, he's on tilt, right? Like he can give him worse than ace rag. He's gonna ship it into. Yeah, I would say this though. You see Eibinger flat there. A lot of guys are thinking, man, this guy's got like king jack suited, something weak. He can't ever call a shove. And now you got to be scared, right? You see Eibinger flatting 2 queens against a chip leader, and you're a short stack. You're just gonna be like, okay, I better not ever shove whenever he smooth calls.
You guys can, of course, see the payouts on the left side as well. This is the 3rd biggest field we've had so far in this tournament series, and that obviously promises a lot of good if you take the entire event down. I mean, 564,000 for the winner. That's pretty damn good for the Tuesday evening. Got a fun hand here between the man who came in as chip leader to this final table. He's leading out on this flop while he really doesn't have much going. Faisal makes the call with the open-ended straight draw and gets there on the turn.
Yeah, Kunku rap. But that's the guy who wanted to see him play. You can see he's just splashing around here, but things are just not going his way. Face-O is on fire. Just gonna bet and likely just take this pot down. But Face-O satellited into this event through a 1K. And this is also the largest GGPoker score ever for Face-O, and it's only gonna get better from here.
Matthias Eibinger wakes up with aces this round, but looking around at the table, I don't think he's going to get much action on these aces. Yeah. Centrino maybe with the suited king?
Possible, but I don't think I don't really like the defensive king.
I love it. He shows it. Sorry, no, to interrupt you.
No. Eibinger's great, right? I told you you're gonna love him. He's actually the perfect pick for you because you love the emoji game so much.
Yeah, but I also love the way he plays poker. Like, we've been
emoji
seeing a little
game
bit.
First. Emoji game first.
Okay. Well, we'll go with a little bit of both then. That's not why I picked him. I am very happy to see him at the final table, but that's not why I picked him. I've been thinking about it because you've been owning me in the picking game over the last few weeks. So I was like, I gotta go for someone who I know plays solid, who can run good, and also has a reasonable amount of chips to work with. And Eibinger came in 3rd, right, in this final table.
Yeah.
I already decided before. I did my homework, mate.
Yeah. That's good. I'm just telling you right now. This I don't think Daniel Divorce is going to win anymore after that the big disaster we'll play. But it's on to Jans here. Ship
Yep.
it in. King 3 suited.
Small blind against big blind. Helen Clark is giving us the Neo Cold Danny on the Grano. And everybody is showing cards. What a fun final. I'm feeling energy tonight, Nanonoko. I don't know about you, but everyone is having a good time. They're all memeing with each other. This is what I love to see.
It's all about showing the 3 when you're the short stack making a desperate play, right? Like, hey, I just shoved in the 3 in team small blind versus big blind.
TSI Binger gets a walk with ace deuce suited in his big blind. You don't hate to see it if you're Matthias.
No, he actually min raised it from under the gun. But
Oh, sorry. Yeah, completely missed that. He's the big blind this round. I apologize, guys.
This should be the battle, right? Is Jan's gonna Graphical gonna shove here at King Jack? Because Helen Clark is not folding 2 10s.
Nope. We have seen people, well, last week was perhaps different, but I'm still not totally over the pocket jacks pre-flop fold from Chris Fitzgerald. But Helen Clark should call here. I mean, shortest stack at the table at this point. Obviously, we all want a ladder at a table this big, but tens will make the call. And Graf Tekkel is actually going to be happy to see that he's up against tens, right? Because with King Jack, when you get called, most of the time you're in all sorts of trouble. At least he's got 2 overs.
And you're not gonna like to see that flop. Not sure if perfect timing.
Well, he wins with a 3. We have seen this before. No, you remember that? Oh no, that actually happened on one of my streams where I was like, I was so confused. I was like, I thought I needed like an 8, and then there was like a 3, and I was like, oh man, I was like, I won. And like it took me like 7 seconds to realize that I just won because there were quads on the board. That's like one of these things that you just don't normally count as an out, right? So I wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. But yeah, no miracle card for Graphical here. Wow, but look at this. He shoves the ace queen for 3.5 big blinds, and Daniel Divorce in the big blind has to call 4-6 offsuit.
All right, well, a chance for Graf Tekkel to double up. It's still a bit dangerous right now. Graf Tekkel just needs to avoid the 6 or the 4 on the river, and then he will get the mini double up. The ace is obviously a great card for him. Well, back to 1.2 million. That's kind of what he was at, right?
Yeah, and Daniel Divorce is somehow getting shorter. He had 10 big blinds, and they just lost 3 big blinds. He's got king, queen. Is he going to go with it against Kunku Rap here?
Probably. Looking around, I'm expecting the rest of the table to fold here. And I mean, at least Daniel Divorce is live, and he's got 2 overs, but with the way that Daniel Divorce has been running so far this final table, I'm almost expecting the flop to be 8 deuce deuce. One of the 8s is actually out. We can see that Grosjev sitting on an 8. Did anybody else have an 8? No, right?
I don't know, but what Daniel Divorce is thinking about it, he's trying to think, should I just wait for a whole round of cards before the blind come around? Maybe someone else busts first. He's going to go for the call and flops 2 pair.
He's like, well, that's not good. Last time I flopped top. Last time I flopped 2 pair, the other guy had a set. This time, Daniel Divorce, you're safe. Well, that's nice. I mean, that's actually a pretty proper double up. We just have to avoid the last 8 in the deck. And if we do, Daniel Divorce will get the double up. That is a safe card. Well done. 2.3 million.
Yeah, now it doesn't feel so bad, right? Like he had what, like 5 million earlier, and this seems reasonable, like something you can work with.
Meanwhile, guys like Centrino and Helen Clark and Graf Tekkel and Grosjev or De Silva are like, why is nobody busting? There is so much action. There are so many chips being thrown into the middle. And how did we not lose a single play yet? That's almost a minor miracle with the hands that we've seen so far.
Yeah, and but actually there's not as many short stacks. Right now it's just 3 guys with about 10 big blinds. And face O is just like getting walks now. He raised ace-7 offsuit under the gun just now. Things are really going face O's way. And Matthias Eibinger is just slowly chipping up while all this stuff is happening around him.
Did you see how quick that walk was, by the way, as well? That was like one of the quickest walks I've ever seen. I looked around the table, I was like, all right, literally nobody has anything interesting. And it was like a whole domino of folds. Helen Clark is going to open up under the gun +1 with ace-queen offsuit. Centrino sitting on queen 5 offsuit. We'll let it go in the big blind. Centrino has had no playable hand yet.
Yep, that's correct. But still, maybe it's okay as long as someone else busts, but no one else has busted. That's the problem. It's going to be Gross Jeff, Ace Jack. Does 2 5s make the player of Kunku Rap? 1 5 being dead.
I think he's going to fold. Yeah. I think it's so scary, man. Like, don't forget that Conquer Rap came in as a chip leader, has already lost 2.8 million chips in 20 minutes. Do you then really want to call 1.1 million with 5s? Like, what if your opponent has 6s, 7s, 8s, 9s, you know? Like, I think that's too much. I completely understand that fold.
Yeah, maybe Conquer Raps. Yeah, like you're saying, like, I don't want to lose all these chips. But then maybe some people are like, you know what? I want to get back those chips. Just toss it in. A nice play for Centrino. Big chipping up in. Everyone is just surviving. Now it's all on Graftikel. 5.5 big blinds.
Yep, Jans Arends, also known as Graftekel, he just folded ace-deuce there. Obviously an understandable fold, but he would have been the tiniest of favorites against the king-queen. Our previous chip leader is going to try his luck one more time, this time with the snowman, and he will get it through. That's got to feel good, man. If you have only been losing chips so far, to finally just take one down, like the last thing you want to see is a cold call and then like another 3-bet. You're like, geez, Louise, what's happening at this final table, you know?
Well, it should be heads up pot coming up. Matthias Eibinger likes to defend that big blind. King Jack offsuit much better than the 5-6-3 suited he defended earlier. Nothing.
Flops nothing. Same can be said for Conquer Rap, but he was the pre-flop raiser, so he could continue here. And there's a good chance he gets it through. The power of the C-bet. That's one that will never get old.
Pretty much never get old.
Hey, look at Centrino. He's waking up with some aces over here.
You were saying Centrino hasn't got any playable hands or like insta-dealt aces.
Unfortunately for him, I don't think he's going to get much action on them. And he got the king-queen as well, but this is still very nice with Centrino. He just went from, I think, 1.1 million to 1.9 million in like the span of 3 hands, so it's pretty good. This is tense, man. Like, nobody's busting, and like I feel like a lot of people have been on the verge of busting, but it's not happening yet.
King 7 suited going for it. That's got to feel really good with just 5 big blinds. And you're not even like in late position. You're just in the middle.
Yeah, that's not one of those hands that you like to see getting called with. Or you see multiple callers and you're like, all right, better get a bunch of clubs. Faisal, under the gun, opening up King 9 offsuit. Man, this man is an animal.
Yeah, that's very aggressive, and it's gonna be 2 kings, ace king for Gross Jeff. Helen Clark's got ace 10 suited, and Eibinger's got 2 9s.
I know, what a round of hands. Helen Clark is gonna be the one opening things up with the ace 10 suited. Matthias Eibinger with his pocket 9s. Imagine if he 3-bets. He does not, but Gross Jeff is obviously going to shove here, right? Like ace king.
This is like the dream scenario. Raising a call in front of you. You got ace king, but it's face out in the big blind. He's been opening king 9 offsuit and ace 7 offsuit under gun. Now we just give him 2 kings in the big blind.
Faisal is like, this is written in the stars. He's like, I'm gonna ship this tournament. And then obviously you've got 2 guys with aces here as well. So that obviously means 1 ace less to worry about. Matthias Eibinger realizes that his 9s are probably no good here. He's going to see that he got the correct fold. Ace king against pocket kings. Oh, flush draw? But there's, I mean, we've got at least more outs than we had before. Is it a heart?
No.
That is not a heart. That is going to be it. The Silva is going to be the first player eliminated of the 15th final table of the High Roller Super Millions played over at GG. That's just unlucky. And Faisal is on absolute heater. It's insane.
That was gross for Gross Jeff. But someone's got to bust eventually, right? And then, you know, Graftikel is probably feeling super good, right? Like, got a pay jump with my 5 big blind shove. You know, now I've got 2 jacks. I don't think we've had such a crazy chip leader with 8 people left before, right? Like, this has got to be the first.
Holiday.
Oh, like Holiday, but he came in with that many chips. See, that's a little bit different.
That's true. But yeah, he was sitting on 11 or 12 million when we started the final table. I'm like, what? And we even had a smaller field back then than we currently have, right? So technically less chips in play. Yeah, that was insane. Bruno opening up with ace jack, and he's gonna get it through. Face O has like more chips than like 4 or 5 other players combined right now.
Yeah,
it's actually insane.
And usually like the chip leader's got like maybe a 50% advantage on the second place guy, but Face O has got way more than double. He's playing good. I like Face. This guy let it in. What this guy should be playing just all the time. He's playing a big stack how a big stack should be playing.
All right, and now we've got some pocket foils. And he's going to open it up, and then Bruno... Oh my god, he just shoves it. And what do you think Bruno Volksman will do? There are so many short stacks at the table. Wow. I think you have to call here. Come on. This guy's been shoving everything, and he's opening king 9, king 10. You got to call.
There's the call. Yeah, I'd love to see it from Bruno. Fitzgerald would have folded those 2 jacks.
Oh my god. What a flop. An open-ended straight flush draw for Face-O. He needs a 4... 7, deuce or a diamond, and he misses. Wow, Bruno Volksman with the double up. Too many out syndrome.
Yeah, that would have been sick. I really thought Face O was going to get there after that flop, man. Yeah. That's going to slow things down a little bit. But it's 2 guys now with 7 million chips. Man, that was a big fade. That was a really big call there. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if some people fold that spot, just thinking like there's too many other short stacks. But that was amazing. But now it's Bruno is the guy on fire. So he's got king queen suited. He can't fold this now. It's only 6 big blinds.
Yep, he's gonna reshove. Matthias Eibinger will get out of the way. King queen against king jack. Grafdekker will get the bad news. He needs a bunch of jacks. Actually, just 1 for now. Would be funny if it's a 3. Then we'll play the board. Nope. That is not going to be it. Grafdekker will be eliminated in 8th place. He will walk away with $70,000. Bruno Volksman on fire. Gets the double up. Gets the knockout in the next round. Speaking of jacks, here they are again. You said you wouldn't be surprised if some people fold jacks there while sitting on that stack.
Yeah, because I know someone who would. Chris Fitzgerald, right? The truth is, he actually would fold there. I'm almost certain. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I mean, last week's spot was maybe even crazier than this one. So then I'm saying yes. Centrino gets aces again, by the way. This man should give me a shout out. I'm like, Centrino just doesn't get any playable hands. I guess aces. Daniel Devora is sitting on 7 big blinds, pocket 5s in the small blind.
I mean, Centrino jammed 2 aces before for 10 big blinds, and he's doing it again. God. Divorce just hanging in there, but 2 people have busted, and it seems like 2 guys that we didn't pick are going to be crushing today's final table. Is Bruno and Face O. They got a good streak going on. They look Jack 7 suited going in,
and then Divorce just gets pocket 5s again. He's like, man, they really want me to bust with pocket 5s today, don't they? I don't know if you saw, by the way, as we'll keep a close eye on the action. The GGPoker Twitter account made a fun tweet. They do giveaways as well. If you guys don't follow GGPoker on Twitter yet, what are you waiting for? And you could predict the final hand or the final 2 cards that will end up winning the tournament. What do you think I picked? Because I participated in the giveaway as well for fun.
What did you put? What did you put?
Jack 10 of hearts, baby.
Jack 10 of hearts. You know what? Now that you said it, I put 2 pocket 4s or something. They're gonna make a set, right?
Yeah, no, that was my second choice. Actually, I wanted to go with 4s, but I was like, no. Jack 10 of hearts. Shorter stack, raises, big stack calls with Jack 10 of hearts, and that's how they're gonna lift the trophy today. On to the next hand, as Matthias Eibinger is just going to shove Ace Jack. That's a big shove, no?
Oh, he's just trying to shut out the big stacks from making a play at him, and if they wake up the hand, so be it. But it's a pretty cool play. It's because some people would just min raise there, and then 2 8s shove on you. Of course, you got to fold the Ace Jack. you know. But of course, on the flip side, you might bust out before other guys. Divorce finally gets a hand to shove first, and 2 6s snap folded from Faso. I tell you, if Faso had 15 million chips and busted out Bruno, he would not be folding this time.
He was on a roll. That's like this one of those moments where you truly feel like you're on top of the world when you start shoving queen 7 and everybody folds. And then you call or you shove pocket 4s, you get called by jacks. And you flop the open-ended straight flush draw. Doesn't get much better than that. I do believe that this is the hand where Helen Clark is going to go for it. Ace queen suited in the small blind while sitting on 6.5 big blinds or 7 bigs.
I haven't seen that version of the emote for Dan Negreanu. It was so great. That was so intense.
They've got you should see the running hot of Daniel, mate. That one is really intense.
Come on, someone do it. Someone do it. I know you're watching this stream. Can you please put the running hot Dan Negreanu on for us later? Two dudes. Divorce just keeps getting these crappy pocket pairs, but getting away.
Well, our previous chip leader is not running very hot as he now 3x's it pre-flop with king, queen offsuit. But Helen Clark wakes up with kings. The last round, Helen Clark shoved ace, queen suited. This round, Helen Clark is sitting on pocket kings and is just going to reshove again. And man, Konku Rep is just not catching a break today. And if Konku makes the call here, that's going to be painful.
Man, when you make it 3x, though, you kind of pressure yourself in a lot more, and then you get a little bit attached to it. Konku Rap's also a good thing Konku Rap got away from, because I know Konku Rap is feeling a lot of frustration, right? Like, keep getting these playable hands. I keep folding. Like, are they making plays at me? I don't know. And it's 2.4 million now.
Santorino is going to shove ace-10 offsuit while sitting on 10 big blind. This is really becoming an all-in festival. And Daniel DeVore is sitting on, almost 8 big blinds, or a little bit more than 8 big blinds before paying the big blind, is going to fold the ace-5. Daniels is getting all these marginal hands right, where it's like, yeah, you could go for it, but then you don't really want to. This hand, I do believe that Daniel DeVore is going to go for it.
Especially against Bruno Volkmann, right? Like, this guy. Wow, open ship. I like the open ship, though. I love it from Bruno. Now, is Daniel still going to go up to king, queen suited? The thing is, he's doing all right, his range, but the thing is, he's up against a lot of these ace rags or ace queens, this is a tough spot. I think ICM, this is definitely a fold, but Daniel DeVore would know a bit better than me, I'll tell you that.
I think I'd call. I would love to see a call here, because I feel like if Bruno Volkmann was actually sitting on like aces or kings, he wouldn't do that, right? That's just a waste. So I think you're going to do quite all right here more often than not. Daniel does make the call. He's going to need a king or a queen on the river, or Daniel DeVore will be eliminated. There's the king. That's why you make those calls, Nanonoko. Hey, look, running up. Yeah.
Oh, that one, yeah. The emotes, yeah, they're super crazy.
Man, like tonight the chip leaders are playing so wild, right? Like Konku Rep came in as a chip leader. I don't even know what happened, but I blinked twice and he lost 2.8 million. Then Faso was chip leader for a bit and just started shoving everything, including queen 7 offsuit. And now Bruno Volkmann is just from a middle position, just shoving 9 million, ace 3 suited.
But now it's going to be Faso and Santorino. Another chip leader might lose 2 million chips here.
Yeah, you gotta call this. No, you cannot fold this.
Of course.
Well, Santorino is going to receive the good news that all he needs to do is avoid a king or lots of hearts. The hearts are nothing to worry about anymore. Needs to avoid the king, as we have a little lag spike.
we got that little circle. Don't worry, we're still here. We're still here.
That basically means that we'll know real soon whether or not the king ever came. Nope, it was a ace on the turn. So Santorino with the double up, and Faso, who was sitting so pretty, Nano, at like, what was it, 9 million chips almost? No, 11 million actually, is now all of a sudden back to 4.7 million.
Yeah, it's all about feeling really good, not feeling very awful. Like, could have potentially shipped this whole tournament like not too long ago, and now it's like, okay.
Okay.
Now Ibinger and Divorce looking good.
Yeah, but look at Ibinger. Like, he's sitting on ace jack under the gun +1. Bruno Volkmann opens up under the gun with queen 4 suited. Nanonoko, this table is crazy.
Look at this. It's a 3-bet, really tiny. Ibinger trying to make his hand look like aces and kings, but ace jack's a good hand to 3-bet bluff with. I think it's gonna work. But the size is so small, but it gets it done.
Yeah, well done. Gives us the traditional running hut. And Ibinger chips up all the way to 5 million. You know, often I've got a strong feeling about like, okay, this is starting to look into like a heads up between these two players. I think it's impossible to say tonight. I mean, like 5 minutes ago, you would have said, oh, Bruno and Faisal. But right now, look at where Faisal is at. There's absolutely no guarantee that he's going to have a very deep run at this final table.
And our two guys are not looking too bad, right? Ibinger and Divorce, they're hanging in there. You know, Divorce has been on a roller coaster, but you know, spike that king. Volkman, let's see what Volkman does here. Queen 5
Shove.
offsuit.
He's going to
Been
shove.
the most
He's
aggressive.
crazy.
It's a lot of. But I tell you, those Brazilian players are so
Oh
aggressive.
my God, he's nuts. He's nuts. I love it.
The Brazilian players, they're really fun to watch. Like, if you don't know who to pick in the future, just pick a Brazilian guy. They're going to ship it or get ninth place. I'll tell you that.
And tonight is wild. Last week was fun, but I feel last week was a little slow, right? It was a bit dull, and we had like it was a real grindy kind of final table. Tonight is just fireworks. It feels like all 7 remaining players are playing pretty crazy. Everybody's been going up and down pretty much at one point. Danny DeForest came in second, was almost out already, 1 card away from being out. Kunku Rep came in as our chip leader, barely won a hand at this final table. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, and it's actually 2 hands that can really go for a lot of chips, small blind versus big blind. Divorce got top pair, and Ibinger has got, what, inside straight draw to could maybe make a call and, you know, spike that card or something, right?
Yeah, I hate
He
calling
just
like
gives up.
yeah, like obviously gut shots are obviously hard to call with, but now you also have to worry that if you get like the 5 of spades, then it's also not good anymore, though, right? Like I think if that's you know, a rainbow board, I think you can justify the call a little bit easier because the worst thing ever is getting there, but then actually drawing that. So I can understand that fault.
Oh, okay. So Divorce and Kunku Rap cannot fold the King Queen at this point. Give him a chance, Kunku Rap, because I feel like he's been running so bad.
It's a lot of spades. All right, and that's it.
Yeah.
Unless we get a queen for a chop. Can we get a queen for a chop? No, we do not. So our initial cheap leader will double up, and now Daniel DeVoris is back to 1.6 million. Nanonoko, these guys are crazy.
Back to 1.6 billion. Yeah, Divorce is not loving that. I mean, he was thinking like, oh, redemption. I'm back to my stack, and look where he is now.
Alan Clark with pocket sixes, sitting at 13 big blinds, makes the fold.
Big fold. Big fold.
Do you like the fold?
Yeah, I think it's very reasonable. It's kind of like, what's the best that can happen? I don't want to get all the chips in, min raising, just asking for disaster. I think it's fine. It's tight, but I don't mind it. But yeah, ace king, let's ship it in.
I actually thought that Daniel DeVoris was going to perhaps make a play there as well, because Daniel was sitting at ace-4 suited. And when you have 7 big blinds, you know, wouldn't be the craziest play of all time. But Conqueror will actually get it done with his ace-king. This time it's a lot more generous to him. So he's all of a sudden back to 4.7 million. He's been on a bit of a roller coaster as well.
Centrino 10-8 suited. Nice ship.
Look at Centrino. Centrino was sitting at 1.1 million, being very card dead. Just trying to ladder up one more time before eventually shipping it in when you don't really want to ship it in. And now he's sitting at 5 million. That's insane.
While Face O let go of ace line offsuit in the cutoff, he's just like, I've lost way too many chips and dodges the 2 aces that limps the small blind. Oh, Volkman. He seems like he's a shipper, right, with Queen 6.
He has been a shipper so far. I loved it. I haven't really heard that term in that regard. But yeah, Volksman has been a shipper. And he's thinking about it for a while. And Alan Clark, oh, he makes the check. And the trap didn't really work yet.
Helen was probably hovering over the call button with the mouse. Is like, go. Oh, you checked.
No, I think it was hovering over the ship it emoji, because that's what you do when they're shipping it into you when you got aces. or you use my last hand.
Oh, Volkman picks up top pair on the turn.
This is so bizarre, right? Because if you're a Volksman, the last thing you're ever worried about in this hand is that Helen Clark is sitting on aces. Like, how the hell is that supposed to make sense?
And check the flop and check the turn too.
Yeah.
Here's the bet from Volkman. Man, Helen Clark's just like, I know Volkman is just going to blast off. Does Helen Clark just call? Does it check raise? Just calls. That's the soup. This is the biggest trap ever, right? Like, just keep checking, and it calls the turn bet.
9 makes a straight now. Bruno Volksman does make the check with the queens, and it's going to be like, what? Aces? Like, this is probably one of these checks where you just hope that your queen is good. And like, I hope that, you know, there's no random 9 or random 2 pair or something. And also, like, aces? It's like, okay.
You know what, though? I'll tell you, Volkman's probably thinking, man, they must think I'm really crazy. And I think, yeah, I am really crazy. It doesn't make sense for someone to try to trap me with 2 aces.
Daniel Devoras with the under the gun raise of king queen suited will take a round of blinds down, and that's very important for him. Could make the call here if Bruno Volksman ships it, but Bruno shouldn't ship it because there's still Matthias. You have to. This is gonna go wrong soon. It's gonna go wrong soon, mate. Okay, Daniel Devoras does make the call and will receive the good news. Needs to avoid the 3.
Oh no! Nano curse is back. I don't think there's no way a 9 is coming. Devoras is gone.
No, that one doesn't always work. No. Daniel Devoras will be eliminated in 7th place. And that's got to be a bit disappointing for Daniel, who came in as 2nd in chips tonight. But can't even really blame him, right? Like that ace-9 hand against the kings, that's just really kind of what did it for him.
Yeah, and now there's a bunch of guys with 20 big blinds, actually. Volkman of all... This kind of was the same situation, but face O was the one with all the chips. Volkman now going to try to do the face O strategy where they just ship it in. They're kind of... They play very similarly, right? Just big stack, just rip it in and gets the king-queen offsuit to fold. I think Bruno Volkman, man, he's going to pick up a lot of chips right now. And he's gonna get the free roll the next all-in because opening 4-3 suited.
Yeah. Bruno Volksman is steamrolling this table at this point, and I bet Matthias Eibinger is just sitting there. Give me something just one time. 8s, 9s, 10s, jacks. Like, I'll call it in a heartbeat. Because obviously Matthias is aware of what's happening here. Nobody gets that many hands in a row, but Bruno Volksman takes down the blinds again. What is that, 4 in a row at this point?
Yeah, Volkman's on fire. And the thing is, Eibinger is actually very ICM-aware type player, very solid. Last time when Adamo won the tournament, he got 2nd. He just let Adamo bust everyone else out, and then he would guarantee top 2. He's giving me that 2nd place vibe right now. And that's all right. That's a lot of money because right now it's all Volkman. Volkman's got queen 8 suited, flops top pair, but against face O, 2 aces.
Yeah, maybe the fact that it's a monotone hard board that's going to save Bruno a little bit. Probably doesn't want to get too crazy here with his top pair. That's a pretty big bet as well, more than half pot.
Yeah, it is a bigger bet, and I think that's going to get Volkman to play cautiously. It's like, oh wow, big fold. I like it. Wow, that's a big read, man. If your opponent's folding top pair to you because you're betting bigger, it's actually a mistake. Wow, that was very impressive.
Yeah, I think if FaceO bets like 350k there, or maybe even 400k, I think there's a very good chance that Bruno will call. But yeah, if they're already betting 600k on the flop, what's the turn bet gonna be, right?
Agree. And Volkman raising 6-3 offsuit. He's like, Eibinger, you're just gonna keep folding, right?
Matthias gonna shove. Matthias gonna shove.
He's not gonna shove, but I think there's a good chance he'll defend. He just actually let it go.
I was really hoping that he's like, you know what? I'm so done with it. He does give him the you suck. I would have loved it, man. Just shove 8-7. Bruno is nuts.
Volkman's just not folding this. It's just a question of ship or raise, and it's just going to be raised. But Kunku wrap, King Jack. See a flop.
I wouldn't even mind it if Kunku ships it as well. Like, okay, he goes for the big 3-bet. I love it, man. Like, you can't let them do this to you every single round, right? So it's very clear at this point that Bruno is raising almost anything. Is he going to have it eventually? Sure, but you can't just fold everything against Bruno when he's playing like this.
He's got ace-9 offsuit. Let's see if he decides to ship it or raise it. Because it might get Kunku Rep to potentially play his hand if he doesn't just open ship it right now.
And he ships
And
it.
he does.
I mean, the blinds are getting real big already, of course. 125K, 250K. And of course, guys, don't forget at this final table of GGPoker, we will increase the blinds by the amount of hands that have been played. You guys can see that on the top left side. But if Bruno keeps playing like this, Nano, the blinds go up real damn quick because we're having the shortest hands ever over here.
Yeah, and everyone's just folding right now. And the thing is, Volkman can open raise and fold, and that's fine. But, like, look, he's got 11.4 million chips. Like, he's winning so many blinds and antes right now. It's and like 2-5s, just like, yeah, I'm out. Like, the Centrino's like, I'm waiting for Helen Clark. Everyone's looking at Helen Clark, and then Helen Clark's like, I'm hoping one of you guys bust first.
You know what I think is happening over here, Nano? I think that Bruno is trying to get the golden wall. Now, if you go to your hand history on GGPoker, you know, you can see all the hands you've played, but then the ones you've won, they kind of have like some gold lettering. I feel like he's trying to get an entire list of just his name, Bruno, and everything in gold, because nobody's fighting back.
Is that a thing? A golden wall? I've never heard of this term in my life, but it's a good one. I like it.
Yeah. Well, in StarCraft 2, we call it like the green wall because it's green or red. When you win everything in your match history, it's green. So, you know, you can get an entire wall of green. I figured that I can apply. Like, I've never thought of winning 15 hands in a row at a final table, but the way that Bruno is playing, I was like, he's going to try to make this a thing, the golden wall over a GGPoker hand history.
Well, it's Ibinger of Queen 10 going to make the defense and flop open-ended.
I'd love to see... I mean, I know shoving is dangerous, but there's 1.4 million in the middle. Bruno can have any two cards. If Bruno bets here, anything smaller than like 500,000, I'd love to see Ibinger just ship it.
Yeah, I'd love to see it too. But I do feel like the way Ibinger plays, he's probably just going to call here in position. But it does go check. Now Ibinger's thinking, man, it's actually quite a little bit tricky because of Queen 10. You don't really want to get all the chips in a little bit right now because, you know, you want to protect your chips just the way Ibinger plays. He is going to bet, but he's going to hate it so much if he gets shoved on.
Yeah. I think Bruno might let this one go, right?
I mean, he's got to let go now with this hand, yeah. But yeah, that's like, yeah, thank you. That's really what he means.
All right, on to the next. Blinds will go up in 23 hands again. I feel like it's going to go so quick. We have never played this many hands. I think that's a positive, Nano. As King Queen just goes all in here and Bruno takes another one down. Do you think we have ever played this many hands in 47 minutes of poker at a final table? Because I really don't think so.
Probably not. Oh, man. Face O is thinking, please just
shove it. One more time, Bruno.
Oh, just a min raise. Save. Bruno's timing's perfect right now. I like to see a flat call. Nice play from face out.
Bruno's like, well, mid pair. It's hard to make a pair. Oh, he bets small though. Man, Bruno has like impeccable 6/10s over here, where it's just like he kind of knows when he's being debated. It's pretty amazing.
Well, you know, he gets involved in spots. He's going to get check raise. Is Bruno going to call here? I mean, he made a big fold against Faso earlier, right, with top pair. But sometimes when you min bet, you feel like, oh man, I gotta continue because, you know, people are trying to make plays at me. Face O is like, okay, cool, I got some action.
He will just shove it on the turn, and I think that Bruno realizes that he's gonna let this one go. Matthias is giving us the tilt. That was one of the longer hands we've had. Bruno, Jack 9 offsuit. Probably look at it, he's like, oh, it's not all that bad, but we've got our chip leader, our initial chip leader, of course, not anymore. Kunku Rep, that's another big race, pre-flop 3. He lost the 3x, very old school, very 2005, I'd say.
Well, it showed the 2 jacks, and Kunku Rep right now is just thinking, look, just give me some pay jumps, man. I came in as chip leader, but at this point, I'm just trying to get top 3.
Yeah. I mean, that must have been a scary ride for him, because don't forget, at one point, Kunku Rep was down to like 2.8 million, I think, right?
That's all in at risk, really, I believe, at one point, too.
Yeah. Face O with King 10 suited, and Bruno sitting on King 10 suited as well in the big blind. What is Bruno gonna do?
Well, I mean, it's hard to predict, but I think calling is the standard play. But Bruno's trying to think, how much fold equity do I have? Can I potentially ship it? And he's thinking, you know what? I'll just outplay this guy post flop.
Well, they literally have the exact same hand, and technically the same backdoors as well. Those are pretty much dead at this point. No flushes will be made in this hand. Let's see if Bruno decides to get a little adventurous.
It would definitely be adventurous, but you know, face O, even though like has a lot of ace highs, probably wouldn't call a turn bet. And I like the read from Bruno. Wow, big bet. Bruno's playing really good. I mean, like it's very aggressive. It's a bit adventurous, but I like the way he's playing. He seems to choose his spots post flop really well too. Really good hand reading.
I kind of okay. Everybody folds. What is Bruno going to do with 7 deuce? I want to see it. I feel like he's going to ship it. He's going to send it all in and he's going to show. He goes for the raise, the 7 deuce offsuit raise from the small blind. Mad lad.
Jack 6 suited is definitely playable, and it's flop so good.
The world. It doesn't get much better than that for Matthias Eibinger. He's going to love that. Bruno still sitting on the 7 deuce offsuit. He's got a backdoor straight draw, Neto. He's got that going.
Well, you know, he did raise a 7 deuce. He did raise a 7-4 offsuit, but he hasn't continuation bet both spots. He's trying to play a very pre-flop heavy game where he pretty much risked the minimum, and that's fine, you know? Like, if he's going to raise and just check fold, I think it's okay, right? Like, it's a small risk. He somehow saved some chips.
Matthias gives us the whop. He's like, that was the kind of flop I would have loved to see you go all in, mate. But you're right. It's a lot of pre-flop all in. But as soon as we're actually on the flop, it seems like Bruno does make a lot of very good decisions. Helen Clark will take one down with Queen Jack suited.
Bruno's thinking, I got a real hand. Ace Jack is pretty good. So it looks like aces.
He's like, what do I do with this? Do I raise? Do I ship? Like, it's like, if you're not sure, you can always go all in. We are playing so many hands. The blinds will go up so quick. It's already 125k, 250k at this point. A lot of players are around the 10 big blind mark.
In. The thing is, see, like you said, if we weren't just shipping it in, right, a lot of these guys would be seeing flops and, you know, taking a post flop, but no, it's just speed running through it. Let's get to the next blind level soon.
Bruno is playing this like a hyper turbo, and he's like, well, if we play this many hands, it kind of becomes a hyper turbo, right? Has ace king this time. It's just gonna go for the race. Man. Alan giving us the running hot, showing us that they were sitting on 7 deuce offsuit. Centrino with pocket jacks. That's got to be a ship. All in, 11 bigs.
I mean, you're shipping aces. You're definitely shipping 2 jacks. Kunku Rap got away from ace 3 suited, luckily. And right now, it's a pre-flop heavy game. It's just waiting for someone to pick up ace king and ace queen.
Yep. Centrino now sitting at, well, 13 big blinds. He's going to go for the all-in. Matthias Eibinger has to call here and will make the immediate call. Eibinger needs to avoid a queen. That's a very good flop for ace king. All right. A queen and a queen only. Or Centrino will be eliminated.
Safe.
Yep, that's not paint. That is not paint. That means Centrino will be eliminated in 6th place. Walk away with $128,000. Obviously, a great run. I believe their biggest score so far over at GGPoker. So that's super awesome for Centrino. And Eibinger now sitting at 7.8 million. And that may even slow Bruno down a little bit, Nanonoko. No guarantees.
It definitely should. It should, though, because Eibinger's got a pretty big stack, and you can't just ship it in anymore when Eibinger's playing 30 big blinds. Unless the blinds go up a bit. But, you know, Eibinger is just super solid, man. Like, I don't know how he always gets more chips, but, like, he does, and he doesn't get in any crazy pots. And He seems like a guaranteed top 2 lockup, just the way he plays.
Yeah. Really loving the way that, I mean, even at those previous final tables, right? It was a bit quiet back then, but obviously couldn't do much. And I feel like the same can be said today. This could be a big one as Helen Clark wakes up with pocket eights, the shortest stack at the table, basically goes all in. Whoa, what?
2 6s, snap, get in, ace jack folds, and Helen
What?
Clark now in a favorable spot.
And Faso is going to be like, what are you guys doing? If I would have known that, I would have made the call. And he's like, well, maybe not. But then there's always going to be a king on the river. 9 on the river. So the 8s will hold. I did not expect the 6s to reshove there.
Yeah, I guess, Helen Clark was really short, so I don't blame him too much.
Well, guys, this was a very fun first hour of poker at our 15th final table of the High Roller Super Millions. If you guys just joined us, this is a $10,000 buy-in event that always takes place on the Sunday evening, Central European summertime, and we play down all the way to the final 9, and then we broadcast the final table on the Tuesday evening, at least for Central Europeans. And this was really fun. You guys may think that you're watching a Hyper Turbo, but you're not. Bruno is just crazy. But it's been a lot of fun. I can't wait to see if this continues or if things will slow down and we'll see a little more post-flop play. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the action. And I think that's all I got for us. You guys can see that Nanonoko is already taking a break. I'm going to take a couple minutes for myself as well because that was a wild hour. We'll be back in a few minutes and then we'll continue the 15th final table of the High Roller Super Millions. All right, guys, I'm back. Nano will be back soon. We've got 1 minute and 10 seconds to go before we continue. As you guys can see, we're down to 5. Kunku Rep came in as a chip leader tonight, but he's been having a pretty tough time. Matthias Eibinger, a very solid, steady rise. Bruno Vogtman, a man on fire. Loves to all in. And I mean, can't really blame him when the blinds are pretty juicy already at this point. And with the way that he's playing, these blinds will go up quicker and quicker. It's been a very adventurous first hour, to say the least. And obviously, Daniel DeFore is having a very unfortunate one. Came in as second, but lost that big hand with ace-9 against pocket kings, flopping top and bottom pair. And ever since that, it was always going to be very tough for him. It's a bit of a shame that we couldn't see more of Jans Arends. Graf Deco, I think, is somebody that a lot of people would have loved to see play a lot of hands, but came in as one of the shorter stacks and never really had a big opportunity to make a whole lot out of it. Nano is back. Are you ready for another wild hour? Do you think things will turn around now? Do you think that Bruno is going to be a little more timid, knowing that Matthias Eibinger has this many chips?
I think that Bruno is probably going to play a little bit more post-lot spot. Still going to raise, but not just open ship it now, because Eibinger still is not going to get too crazy out of line. But, you know, the blinds are going up in 9 hands, and then again, it's going to be 3 guys with like 10 big blinds, and it's going to be back to one of those shove. Wow, look at this. Helen Clark 3-betting the big blind with ace-4 offsuit and no stack.
Yeah.
This is wild. Look at this.
It is wild. But I do kind of like it, though, because you know that Bruno is raising so many non-ace hands, and obviously doesn't always have a pair. So I actually love the play. It's crazy. And at this point, Helen Clark is sitting there. Fold. Fold. Let it go, Bruno. Let it go.
Yeah. And wow. Why not just ship it in? I guess is the question for Helen Clark. And but Bruno's thinking, man, what is this play? But also thinking, if you got 2 aces, I'm crushed. Or are you just making an ace rag? We've seen ace rags do this play from like the European and these other guys, and it's never worked. But maybe this one will work.
Yeah, Ben CB did it a couple times as well.
Yeah, you're right. Those 2 guys exactly. And Helen Clark, some sick crusher, right?
Oh my God,
Bruno, I love it. Wow, and you know what? It's never worked. It's because it's too suspicious. That is an amazing play from the Queen 10.
That is pretty.
That's
insane.
Amazing.
I loved it from both players. Helen Clark now sitting at pocket 5s and may actually go for it from the small blind, but Bruno will insta-call with ace-king suited. Wow, what a sequence of events.
That was so sick. Wow. But regardless, it's still a coin flip coming up.
Well, not a coin flip anymore. We're going to need a 5 or Helen Clark will be eliminated in 5th place and walk away with $170,000. There were pips, just a few too many. So GG will be called. $172,000, obviously pretty damn good for Helen Clark, but Bruno Vogtman just keeps on running amazing, but also making amazing plays.
That was an amazing play. Helen Clark from the big blind, 3-betting, and also, yeah, I remember Helen Clark only had 12 big blinds or 13 to start the hand. It's going to be all in play here. Kunku Rap's got 2 9s.
Oh my goodness. Well, we got a 6 is good now as well. We need a 6 or a 10. Or Matthias Eibinger loses a lot of his chips, and he will. Kunku Rap is totally back in the mix now with 7.5 million. And poor Matthias. He's like, you know what? I see Bruno do this 27 times. Let's try it once. Wow.
Wow, Kunku Rap just straight get in there for these chips. Like, this is the most chips I've ever had. 10-9 suited. Let's play some post-flop, because I feel like Kunku Rap is a post-flop player. Pre-flop's not really Kunku Rap's game, but post-flop's where Kunku Rap gets kind of crazy.
It's funny, as obviously both players sitting here on diamonds. So diamond on the turn could spice things up here, but neither player really having a pair. Bruno's got the chips, so he's like, you know what? I'll fire out a small bet. And Kunku Rap is going to let it go.
I don't know if you realize how sick that Queen 10 offsuit play was.
Yeah, no, of course I realize how sick it is. I mean, that I don't even know what Bruno felt or what he thought he was up against, but probably exactly that. He's probably like, you know what? They're making a play on me. And he's like, maybe if they have pocket sevens, eights, nines, you know, I'm still flipping. But yeah, that's an amazing play by Bruno.
Yeah, and I remember like also I think the European or Benzibi, they did that play, and someone else they rejammed some. Oh, there's a lot of guys doing this ace rag raise, and they just get shipped on every time. But it's also by always like some really weak hand, and they have really shallow stacks. It's really, really sick. And, you know, Volkman, I didn't know much about Volkman, but I know he's done really well just online poker in general. 6.5 million across sites, right? Like, he's the guy that's aspiring tennis player, right? That's the one you're going to remember, right? The real tennis player that aspiring that did really well. And I'm becoming a big fan. I didn't realize how good this guy was.
I mean, obviously Bruno is playing very well, but he's also playing crazy though. And like so many moments, all of this could have gone wrong, and we would have had a completely different final table. But
it's the Brazilians, man. The Brazilians are super crazy, man. I tell you, like I've never seen a Brazilian player that's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna just play tight and just fold. You know, there's something in their blood where they just have to just ship it in.
I feel the Russians are very crazy as well. And then the Ukrainians, like they are close to that, but then I feel like a little more solid in general. But whenever I see Russians in tournaments, they're just like non-stop 3-betting, 4-betting machines. And then it goes to showdown. I'm like, what did you guys have? Like,
no, but you don't know about the Brazilians, man. I tell you, they've got this reputation for a really long time. And they're playing really good. And Face O is like, okay, I'm short now. Yeah, man, I forgot about Faso. Remember how we're all talking about how Faso was just crushing, and now he's like the short stack.
This can get interesting.
Ooh.
Conqueror sitting at a suited ace, but I think if he goes all in, I think Bruno will make the call.
Well, I don't think Conqueror was. He was just thinking 2x or 3x at that point.
What do you think Bruno does here with nines?
Oh, you got to rip this in. This hand is just way too strong, too much fold equity, and yeah, I don't really see any other play, actually.
Conqueror is like, damn it. What if I would have gone all in? Would this have happened? The answer is yes. You would have been called. Shows the ace. Okay, blinds will go up. Yep, 150K, 300K. If Bruno goes all in here, I am very confident Matthias Eibinger will make the call. Bruno does not go all in. I would love to see Eibinger just go all in here.
This is a must go all in ace-9. And you block the hands that are trapping you, right? Like the aces, the ace-king, the ace-queen. So it's very important.
Eibinger will take it down. I mean, right now, Bruno has more chips than the other three players combined. But we also saw the other week when we had a crazy heads up that there is no guarantee. Eibinger takes another one down, this time with ace-10 offsuit. And I mean, this actually goes real quick, right? Because now he's already back to 4.4 million. So much in the middle every round, 610,000 chips.
Well, you know, Volkman's being a little quiet now. He's not raising any two cards. I think the thing is he's thinking, look, everyone knows that I've been raising really garbage hands. Let me be a little bit controlled for a bit, and then like 20 minutes later, just gonna go nuts again. Watch.
Yeah, but it probably also had something to do with the fact that we had 2-3 guys that were all kind of short, right? And he's like, they're not gonna call me light because they're looking at each other. Everybody wants to ladder here. Everybody wants to get another pay jump. But now these 3 guys, they all have a reasonable amount of chips, as Faso is going to get it all in with the 8s. So I think it makes sense for Bruno to slow down here a little bit.
I don't know about King. I don't think King 3 is going to slow down. I think King 3 is going to put some chips in. There's the raise.
Eibinger with King 9 will make the fold. And I think that Anku Rep will let this one go as well. So Bruno takes another one down, closing in on 17 million chips. You still feeling that second place for Matthias Eibinger?
I mean, he's got the second place vibes to me. I mean, it could be any of those 3 guys, but I think Bruno, unless does one of these ships and gets doesn't hold, get there. Oh, never mind. See ya, Eibinger. Unless he just open raises, right? He could just open raise and probably get away. But he's going to ship it in. I don't think. Wow, Faso just folds 2 7s. You got to think about it at least, right?
Snap folds the 7s. That was a classic Nananoka, by the way. See ya, Ibinger. Gets the pre-flop fold. I love it, man. You should be a StarCraft
Wow.
2 commentator. A pro gamer even. It's like whenever something happens, like, yeah, this game is over. And it's like we're 2 minutes in. We're like, what? No, it's not.
Oh, wow. But that's Ibinger still in. Still in. Face O has been making some big folds. You're saying?
It's so funny as well because obviously if you're IBing, you have no idea what kind of a bullet you just dodged. And I think that's the beauty of poker, right? You watch it back, you're like, he folded sevens. I do think Faso will make the call this time, right?
You gotta
can't
call
fold,
this one.
Yeah. You can't fold sevens here. Faso needs to avoid the ace. Oh my goodness.
2 threes.
Well, that's a classic Roddy then, I guess, right? Can we get a miracle 7? No, we cannot. Faso's still in the tournament, but down to literally 1 big blind. Wow, sick.
But, you know, Kunku Rap came as a chip leader. He deserves to get some chips and get a little lucky here and there. But Face O is in trouble. Did you call it a Roddy? Damn, that's pretty funny. I like that one.
Yeah, it's like he needs to avoid the ace, and it's like, well, he also needed to avoid 2 threes. I just didn't expect that. Well,
He
let's
got
get
lucky
a 5
here.
Yeah, great.
back,
He's got 2 big blinds now, Nano. I'm sure he's really happy about this one.
He's back. He's back to 700K. Well, nice.
If you win a 3-way all in, you know, then you're back to 2.1 million. So maybe.
You know what the funny thing is? Face O, if he took the other 2 sevens, he would be in much better position now.
Yeah, rub it in, Nano. He's gonna be real happy with that. To be fair, this sevens was an excellent call as well.
Oh, he's gonna get done by the 5-3 offsuit.
Unless he gets a deuce or a king.
Oh,
get the deuce. He's back to 1.6 million. Oh. Never say die. A chip and a chair is all you need. No. What? Yeah.
And
no.
now he's gone. He's gone. See ya. Ship it.
Well, if you say that, I'm starting to believe in another 3. He's like, come on, the 3s did me dirty. Can I at least get one more? Ooh, for a second, I actually thought that deuce was a 3. Well, Faso needs a 3 on the river, or it is all over. That's not a 3, that's paint. And that means that Bruno will collect even more chips. Faso walks away with $231,000. By far and away his biggest score so far at GGPoker. So a fantastic evening for him regardless. But we are down to 3, and we've got a very dominant chip leader.
Yeah, and Ibinger top 3 minimum. He did get second place before. He's going to put in most of his chips. And Kunku Rap goes with Queen Jack suited. Oh, wow.
Okay. Well, Matthias Ibinger is looking for the emoji right now. My last hand. My last hand, I think. Or bring it on.
He's emoji slow rolling on accident. This is hilarious.
Makes the call. Obviously, still scary.
Oh,
a snap cam, but he needs a queen. He needs
snap cam to lose.
He needs an ace or a king or a queen. He doesn't get it. Snap cam into eliminated from the tournament. Unfortunately, this is it. For Matthias Ibinger, walks away with $312,000. And we are heads up. I gotta say, Conquer Rap has got a proper stack though, 12 million.
Yeah, but I mean, I love to see the snap cam, but you know, he was the emoji guy all the time. One time you use snap cam, of course you're gonna lose the all in. So now we're down to heads up. It's trip 5s and the gut shot.
Imagine if we get a 3 on the turn. Imagine if we get a 3.
But look at this. This is like the dream scenario for Volkman, right? You get check raise with 3-5s. You're like, oh man, I didn't expect this.
Just makes the call. Obviously, running clubs was a possibility for Concours Rep as well. No more. I would love to see him check here, actually. Bruno, that is.
He's either going to check or he's going to put a small bet in there. Because maybe his opponent has a flush draw, and you don't want to let your flush draw get it. And he is going to put a very tiny bet.
You know, if you're a Concours Rep, you're like, well, 2 pair, I've got an ace. If Bruno bets small here, I actually think there's a chance Concours calls, no?
Of course, but Volkman might be thinking, man, if my opponent has a deuce, I don't want to let him get off for cheap as well. So he's trying to think, is it worth to bet a small bet against ace high or really big? He's going for all the chips.
Did you see that? He did
Yeah.
so sick even before the bet was out.
Yeah. I think
It's funny.
Volkman, put his opponent on a deuce and tried to get the most value.
Well, that means that Bruno now takes a pretty dominant heads-up lead, sitting at 20 million chips against the 9.6 from Konku.
So this could be. This is wild. What is this check? I think the thing is, Kunku Rap is like, I'm heads up. I don't need to fade anyone else out because remember, Kunku Rap came to the final table as a chip leader, right?
Yeah.
Kind of lost almost all his chips, kind of similar to Holiday that one time, but is guaranteed top 2 now, and that's when they start to play wild.
Actually, incredibly similar to Holiday, who also came in as chip leader, lost all his chips, was almost out, and then still finished top 2. And it's starting to look like this also will be a top 2 finish for Konku, unless he maybe hits a, well, no,
a 10
to chop it, yeah. But if that's what you're hoping for, we're not really going anywhere.
Well, I mean, Konku 3-bet this hand tiny and is going for another bet with the jack high. It's not going to get it done.
No, tonight has been crazy, okay? This is, I don't want to say the craziest final table because that's a bit hyperbole, then everything is always the craziest.
This river card can really maybe, I was going to say, if Konku jams, I wonder what Bruno does, but it's going to save the chips. But yeah, you were saying?
Well, that is like silly to say that everything has always been the craziest final table, right? But this one has been wild today. Like compared to last week, that was much slower paced and, it was definitely felt like a bit of a grind. This has been just nonstop. They're playing so fast. We have played so many hands in 1 hour and 15 minutes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Man, and there was another day where we had like a bunch of shipping all in, but this one's been way more fun than the other time when the chip leads were shipping. This one's been like even more crazy. And right now they're playing for $150,000 difference heads up match. And Volkman's thinking, man, he's got to feel very good. Like, because a lot of guys, they get that chip stack and it kind of turns into disaster. Like Face O had that big stack and then lost it all, right? Like, but Bruno's the story right now where he's got the chips and he maintained it and he's still cruising with it. Wow, he just called him King 10 high on this board. Can you believe that on the river card?
And he's right. Doesn't even have a spade. 4 spades on the board. At this point, I don't know what needs to happen for Bruno to lose a hand, but that is what a call.
That's amazing. There's also an ace on.
Yeah.
This guy is an amazing player.
That is ridiculous. I don't even know how to express myself after witnessing that hand. He made it like it was the most casual standard call of all time. He's like, yeah, king high is good here. It's like, you don't have a spade. It's like
he didn't take any time too. It was very quick.
Yep. Wouldn't mind if he lets this one go in the 8 deuce. Every now and then even Bruno has to let a hand go. 25 million against 5 million. Ace 10 here. Probably gonna raise it up indeed.
Yeah, I think Konku Rap at this point just needs to just ramp up the aggression pre-flop, hope for a double up, maybe chip up a bit, because Volkman's on fire post-flop right now, and I like to just ship it in Queen 9. It's not optimal, but like it's better than taking the post-flop right now.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And even if you like min raise, what if Bruno goes all in there? Then you need to call it off with Queen 9, and that's just so awkward. So
6-9, look at this. He's listening to the Roddy play, right? You were saying this where like if you're not as an advantage player, you just ship it in.
Yeah, I like to see it. This would be a
bad
moment to do so. He avoids that one. Yeah, all in. If I'm Konku, I'll go all in here again.
Yep,
like you don't love it, but or maybe you do love it. I don't know.
I mean, it's better than the 6-9 offsuit, right? So like he's probably hoping for a call, to be honest, and just like double me up or get it over with. I don't know, though.
Could be it. I feel like Konku Rap is thinking about it. He's going for the min raise.
Saved. Because if he had less chips, he definitely would have shipped into King 8 offsuit.
All right, let's go immediately. Good job there by Conqueror. He's been very nice, by the way. He's been showing a lot of cards that he technically didn't have to show throughout the
I don't
entire
know. Is
final
it nice
table.
when you're showing the 6-9 offsuit when you reshove someone? It's a little.
No,
It's
but he
more like
showed
a,
the ace as well a couple times. You know, that's the stuff I mean. Bruno casually flopping 2 pair here. He's like, all right, go for it, mate. All in. Yeah, this almost feels inevitable. But with poker, you never know. I feel like we've seen this before where we're like, oh, he needs a miracle. And then all of a sudden, 3 hands later, it's 15 million each and anything is possible. But I don't have the feeling. Bruno is just too hot right now. He's 48% on fire.
I mean, right now, if I'm Bruno, okay, like from my point of view, it seems like Kunku Rep is playing kind of just trying to a bit gambly right now, right? Like just trying to go for it. So just try to grind him down. Eventually, you're gonna get all in, hopefully, and then hopefully when you actually if you double him up, is he's really short, or maybe you win the tournament. But right now, Bruno shouldn't be doing too much crazy stuff and just playing high equity hands against him and stuff. And he's gonna try to trap him with the A6 suited.
Makes a pair of aces as well. Conqueror has absolutely nothing going for himself on this board. Well, I backdoor straight draw, but
like
yeah.
pretty ambitious.
You're hoping for the 6 of spades there, but it's like, no, you can't. So it needs to be the 6 of clubs or something to have a somewhat decent chance on the river. Pocket fours. Bruno, he's not going to make the call with queen 8.
I feel like
Don't forget about the prediction game, by the way. A lot of people are very excited right now because, you know.
It's like, hey, they're probably thinking, right? Like, please have my hand. Please bust him right now, right?
Yeah. I predicted Jack 10 of hearts. This is awfully close, but this shouldn't get it done for Bruno. That's fun.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Kunku wrap it back in the game. Top 2 pair against top pair.
And I mean, top pair heads up, you just don't let it go very easily. And obviously you shouldn't. But Bruno definitely in trouble here unless he spikes the queen on the turn or river.
I like the just call actually because your stack is so shallow. You're gonna usually get in anyways. If your opponent has something on the turn, maybe your opponent picks up a hand to put more chips in.
There are 3 spades on the board now, but obviously neither player is sitting on a spade, so that doesn't really matter that much. That is a half pot bet coming out of Bruno. That's a quick all-in, though. Okay, Bruno will still make the call. Conqueror not being worried about it. Conqueror just needs to avoid a queen. Is it paint or not, Nano? Well, that went really quick. But okay, Conqueror gets the double up, back to 9 million.
Well, you know, it's not over. Now we got to look at Kunku Rap. Like he could, maybe it's going to be his whole cards. And it's an insta 3-bet, 10-7 offsuit. Bruno's full. His wheels are coming off. He's like, I'm trying to finish this guy off, but it's not going to work. He's got top pair.
You got to be patient because these heads-up matches are very frustrating when you feel like you're such a dominant chip player. You're like, just get it over with. But if you don't get it and you double him up and now you lose another big pot, like this is, I love this play. Well, I say I love this play, but I actually almost wish that Conqueror would have just called because his hand is really good here. Shows the queen, doesn't show the jack. Here we go, Nano. 12 million for Conqueror.
I mean, now it's starting to be anyone's game because the thing is, Kunku Rap's style is obviously crazy. 5-4 offsuit. But Bruno's got some good reads, but they both play really crazy. I would say Bruno, you know, more of the season pro style, right? But you know, Kunku Rap he just plays so wild. You don't know what he's up to.
What?
What?
The 4-bet with Jack 3 offsuit?
No.
Explain this to me, please.
I don't know. I mean, I think Bruno, wow, is really on point. He thinks, you know what? Forget grinding it out. Let me just battle in the street poker style, right? Like just Jack 3 offsuit. Oh my god, he should have showed that to him too. Like these two guys, this is one hell of a heads-up match right now.
They're actually both playing really good. Konko plays maybe a bit wild. I sometimes wish that he would take like 2 additional seconds or something before he makes the decision, because he does, when he has very strong hands, go all in real quick. And I know that's not necessarily a tell, but I do feel that scares your opponents often a little bit more when they act that quickly.
Well, I mean, he's been doing it with his made hands as well, so he's pretty balanced. But did you see that Bruno just bumped up 9-3 offsuit from the big blind that last hand? Oh my god, these
Man,
guys
they're
are.
not even, they're just playing poker at this point. They're not playing the hands they're getting. They're just playing against each other. They're playing poker. 8-5 is going to raise. Bruno is probably thinking, do I just call or do I make it bigger? He will just make the call. Flops a gut shot.
Well, Bruno most likely will check call bet, but this is a good board continuation bet, despite it probably won't work. What's a big bet though? Wow, 1.5 million. That's like 75% pot.
But Bruno has been right almost all night long in these kinds of spots. And he makes the call. He's right again. But now we have a flush draw on board. And Kunkurap is actually the one with the higher flush. And he makes the flush on the river. I mean, Bruno's not going to be happy to look at this hand. He's like, how did I lose? How did I lose on that flop?
Yeah, I'm wondering if Kunku Rep or is gonna be able to get some value on this with this 8 of hearts. It's a tricky one because it's not that good of a heart, but it is one. But Volkman thinking about making a block bet, and he is gonna bet out himself.
Yeah, I think we'll just see the call. Love that call. And Kunkurap all of a sudden back to 14 million. I think this is the most amount of chips he's had all night long. And we definitely have a proper heads-up match on our hands. And it's actually impossible to say how this is going to go because they're both playing so well. These pots, looking at the hands, are so much bigger than they need to be, right? And that's just the craziest thing about it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. These guys are just really battling out. It's a lot of money for a difference between second and first. 150,000 is the bet on the flop, and like it was all Volkman. It looked like it was a pretty clearly he was going to ship it. He had 25 million chips at one point, and
Yeah.
now they're really close.
In 16 hands, the blinds will go up one more time. These blinds already are massive. I'm going to get the raise with the deuces. And Conquer Reb will let this one go. He's like, whoa, I actually have so many chips to work with right now. Maybe I shouldn't get 2 out of line. He's like,
Well, I'll tell you this. Kunku Rap, this is the largest GG score for Kunku Rap. First player from South Africa who's made our final table. And actually, when he made this final table, he actually made multiple final tables that week. So, this is this moment.
This is a pretty fun flop as well. Bruno flops top 2 pair, but Conqueror flops the open-ended straight draw, even though the 8 will probably not make him that happy, but a 3 would.
I bet you Kunku Rap's thinking about check raising this board. It's a tricky one because, like, when you make the straight with the 8, it kind of sucks, but it's good and bad at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bruno is like, what do we do here? I think he's actually going to go all in.
Re-raise.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he'll just open ship it, but he probably is definitely going to re-raise it. I think he wants to try to get in as much chips as possible, especially if his opponent has a hand like 8-9, 7-8, 2 hearts. Yeah, I think he definitely should be raising. It's heads up. Your opponent's playing crazy, so they're probably putting in a lot of bad chips. And there's the re-raise again. If Kunku Rap makes some crazy play, like this could be over.
Yeah, but on this board with 5-4, you don't have a heart. Conqueror will make the fall, then all of a sudden he's back to 10 million. It was good while it lasted. It just didn't last very long. Now we have a 2-1 chip lead again. It feels so tense because you just know that it can end any given moment with these two. It's like you blink twice and all of a sudden there's 12 million in the middle and you're like, what? Why?
They actually have a lot of chips to play for despite the chip difference.
And obviously a lot of money to play for as well. A $140,000 difference. Kunkurap fills up on the river here. Makes a full house. And he's like, well, pot size bet. He's probably not going to get any action here. Bruno's like, should I be
Oh, he
crazy?
showed it. He showed it. He's a nice guy, like you said.
Hey, he's mixing it up though. He's like in or 3 or 4 hands ago, he showed the card that didn't matter actually. I think he showed the queen when he had queen jack on the jack XX board. These spots are all just getting so big so quick because they're betting big as well. Like their bet sizing is not like we have seen at some of the previous final tables where it's often like, we'll start off with 25% or 33%. Like, nope, it's half pot, full pot, over bets. Like we've seen it all.
So it looks like Kunku Rap is just leading out here with the Jack 9 offsuit. And yeah, I'm saying, like, you play like this different style. Your opponent is actually like trying to read you, sometimes make the right decision against you, sometimes confuse and just gives it up. And, and usually Bruno would win that pot with continuation bet. Uh-oh, 2 queens and 8-9 suited. This is definitely going to see a flop for a big amount of chips.
Man, he raises so quick. Did you see how quick that was? That was an 0.1 second quick. His mouse was already there. Wow, what?
Straight versus top set. And this is guaranteed getting all of the gyps in here. And it's a big bet. Oh my god, Volkman can close this out with the 9-8 suited. I feel like this is a hand that someone probably picked to win the giveaway too.
Yep, but
destiny.
I mean, Conqueror has plenty of outs though, right? Like he's got the queen, he's got the 3 jacks, he's got the 3 tens, and then who knows what comes on the turn. Like this is a pot limit Omaha scenario if I've ever seen one. And everybody knows. Yep. Well, here we go. Will the board pair or not? The board will pair. Jack on the turn. Oh my goodness. Wow. Kunkurab now takes the lead. Close to 23 million chips. Top set against the flopped straight heads up. How often do you see it?
Wow. Wow. Bruno's thinking, am I really going to lose this heads up match? He's only got 20 big blinds now.
And all of a sudden, it's a little harder for Bruno to be Bruno, right? Because now, when you start losing 700K, you lose 10% of your stack.
Oh, wow. I would love to see Kunku Rap just keep putting the pressure on. You know what? Bruno's going to have to wake up with a hand. Eventually, he might wake up with a hand with 3 or 4 million chips, but you got a chance to knock him out. This is Kunku Rap's game right now. Just keep the pressure. Some people, right, they get all these chips and they just slow down. No, Kunku Rap needs to keep putting the gas on, put the pressure.
Oh, this could become a feisty hand as well. As Conqueror pairs his jack and Bruno is sitting on a flush draw. The chips that are in the middle are very valuable to Bruno already. 10 of spades is a safe one for Kunku. What will Bruno do?
Oh, he's thinking about betting again. He could get, a very weak jack to fold, a deuce. He's just thinking, if I bet, do I get shoved on? Because that would be a disaster to miss out on a flush draw.
I mean, this is such a draw-heavy board, right? There's 2 flushes on board and then 3 cards. Like, imagine if your opponent is sitting on a queen. Bruno will make the flush while Kunku makes 2 pair. Oh, what a disastrous river card for Kunku.
Does bet a third of the pot, so he might not lose all of the chips if Bruno just goes for like a 2.5 million raise.
I think he will call then, though.
Oh, he's definitely not going to fold to this.
Snap calls, and Bruno claws his way back to, almost 10 million chips. Whop. I like the whop as well. It's a good one. Wow, what an evening. And what a roller coaster this has been for Kunku Rap. Started off as a chip leader. Chipped down so quick to like 15 big blinds. Was almost out of the tournament. Tournament live on the line once or twice. Came in this heads-up match and was incredibly dominated. Out-chipped 4.5 to 1 or something like that. And here we are. Now he's the one having the 2-1 chip lead.
Deuce 4 makes bottom 2 pair. How good is that?
You'll have to see it if you're Bruno. A 52% VPIP Ice Cube. That looks like me at Omaha.
Like the other guy's got exact opposite VPIP, but in the fire hot. Oh, it's a check raise with 10-7 offsuit. To be fair, this would work a lot usually.
I like that Bruno just called there as well, because his hand is obviously very strong in this heads-up scenario. And now Conqueror is first to act. I have the feeling he's going to bet like 2.1 million, and he's going to regret it. He's wrong, that already. Wow, that's... How often do you see that?
Is going to be a big bet. But I think at this point, Bruno might just ship it in, try to make sure the 9 just pays off all the stack. You know, a 3 could roll off. That would be disastrous, right? Like 8, 9 would just be like, oh, check fold. I think Bruno probably should ship it in. Usually your opponent's not really bluffing, right? When they check raise this flop in turn, but Kunku Rep actually is.
Bruno will go for it, and Kunku Rep hates to see it. Literally drawing that on the turn.
Wow, they're even again. Crazy, because Kunku Rep didn't hold on to those chips for very long, but
that's not the first time. When he came up to when he made his way up to 15 million, it also took him like 2 hands to be back to 9 million again. Now he got up to like 22, 23 million chips, and all of a sudden here we are, it being close to even. I do think that Bruno's gonna let this one go.
I mean, he did 4-bet the Jack 3 before, right? Yeah, you can't just this. It's hard to predict, but man, Kunku Rep is plays very fast, like you said.
I gotta say, we've seen a couple of these fascinating comebacks though in these heads-up matches where I'm like, I want to hype it up, and on the other end, it's like this is just too unlikely. If you would have told me that Kunku Rep was going to take the chip lead like 12 minutes ago, I would have been like, haha, I don't think so, Nano. I don't really see that happen anytime soon, but yeah, here we are.
These guys are just Roddy blasting it away, huh?
It's wild. The 6 is still good on this board. I am not sure if Kunku Rep really believes that his 6 is good. Bruno realizing that his 9 high is not going to get it done, so might want to take a proper stab at this one. No, he's going to check it down. He's going to give up. I always feel it's bad when you're thinking about making a move on the river and then you don't. And then you see that your opponent had a super weak hand that just barely beat you. You're like, ah.
You feel like you misplayed it so bad, right?
Exactly. Yeah, like, I knew it. I knew it. I should have gone for it. Getting some 9-7 of hearts. That's got to be a popular hand as well that people predicted to win the tournament. We haven't seen Jack 10 of hearts, by the way, in such a long time. The 3-bet with 6-5 offsuit.
And no, what is Bruno should be winning the spot. He is the pre-flop 3-better, so he can represent those ace kings and ace queens. And I don't really see how Kunku Rep could float against a guy who, you know, 3-bet you in a heads-up match.
Well, imagine if this goes check, and then the turn is like the 10 of hearts. Like, that'd be a sweet hand for Kunku. That's a big bet by Bruno. He's screaming, fold right now. Fold.
Kunku is thinking, I really want to make a play. He's thinking, I really want to make a play, but do I really want to? Every time I made a play, I've lost those chips. Wow, he's thinking about it.
This is the longest he's taken, by the way, all night long. It's like, he's going to give it up.
Would have been sweet. Would have been so sick. He just puts in the mid race, but I don't blame him. He can't really make a play there.
And Bruno takes the chip lead again, by the way. Wasn't he down to 5 million now? Like,
yeah, he was down to like 6 or 7 million, but now he's probably feeling good. I think Bruno's thinking, look, I'm not going to let go of the chip lead this time.
Yeah, those are things you don't really control, right? If you flop a straight and your opponent goes all in, like what do you do?
Whoa!
What?
Did you see that? It was a lead, a raise, and a snap jam with the deuce 5 and shows the 5. I would show the deuce because that's already wild too. Oh,
yeah, I know. It's like the 5 is not the wild card, mate. The fact that you had a pair of deuces and you went this hard is crazy enough. Bruno makes a pair of queens here while Kunku sits on top pair with his aces.
Wow, just pot-sized bet. Bruno, mid-pair. He's got to think his opponent is crazy now. And like, I expect Bruno to fold normally, but at this point, he's thinking, I don't know. I just can't fold this hand.
You know, Nano, normally at the end of the show, as Conqueror makes 2 pair here on the river, we go over a couple of the crazy hands we've had. My brain is fried, okay? We have seen a ridiculous amount of crazy aggression in spots where I really didn't see it coming. Sometimes you see things coming. You're like, ah, this is a good spot for him to make a move. These guys just make moves all the time.
Yeah, and this heads-up match has been one of the best ones we've seen so far, and it's just been too crazy. Kunku Rap bets Rivers 2 pair, gonna bet, and is Volkman gonna pay off? Queen 7. Logically, he doesn't beat many hands, but logic has been thrown out in this heads-up match, and he might be just thinking this Kunku Rap is just crazy.
And he's not wrong, but Bruno has also been crazy. This is not the moment. I don't see him. Oh, he makes the call. Oh, Bruno has been right so many times tonight on big moments. This was not one of them. And now he's back to 6.5 million chips. And all of a sudden, Kunkurep is back at 23 million, even more than he had before, going all in with the 6-4 offsuit. I don't think many people predicted that hand to win the tournament, so...
Oh my god, wow, 6-4, like... This is the thing, like, Kunku Rap is just putting on the pressure so hard. Like, some guys like, okay, you put on pressure of 10-9 suited, something 6-4 offsuit. What is he doing? But it's... If Bruno doesn't pick up a hand soon, he's going to run out of chips.
It's another beautiful poker story unfolding in front of our eyes as Kunkurep goes all in one more time. Kunkurep, his biggest cash over at GGPoker before he played this tournament was $27,000. Right now, he's guaranteed $419,000, but he's very close to winning more than $550,000. Even though this would not... Oh, I love that. I love it. Bruno is like, all in, go all in, do something. You go all in all the time. You bet everything. Oh my God. If I'm Bruno here, I would actually use so sick because I'm like, how? Every pot is like 5 million and now I have queens, make a set and you don't do anything?
I think Bruno's on literal tilt right now. He's not going to look for some emojis. Right now, he's just thinking, how am I losing this heads-up match? Bruno's got Queen 9
all
suited.
In. I would go all in, Queen 9 suited here, sitting at 12 bigs.
Well, he does. He isn't going to lose his spot unless he folds, but I doubt he's going to fold if he's not folding the middle pair on some of those other hands he played.
When you say those things, I can just see the spades roll off on the turn and river. No, don't do it to me. But you got away with it this time.
Kunku is going to fire one out, and Bruno has induced action.
Yeah, Konku Rep has absolutely nothing. So if Konku wants to win, you can't do it because like Bruno's
your opponent didn't fold. Your opponent didn't fold mid pair to you last time, so yeah. Well, I would like to see Konku. Oh, he is going to go for it one more time. And to be fair, it would work if the opponent had a 10, I think. But the Queen 9.
I don't know though. Like, would Bruno ever fold even a 10 and then be left with 3 big blinds? Like, the big blind is 400K. Come on.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a limp, and Bruno's got a pretty playable hand, and he's going to call. I can't believe the chip stacks are moving again. Like, Bruno might be coming back.
Well, I feel like we're obviously one hand away from it all being over, but if Bruno can just run a little harder, he's still good with his pair of deuces on this board. It's like, you look at Kunku's hand, you look at the board, and you're like, how is it 4.2 million in the middle?
Exactly. It's just like, yeah, strange. And then the, ace deuce is gonna bet, and we're back. We're back.
Yeah, 11. But even that is only 22 big blinds at this point. Kunku is gonna raise it up with King Jack, and Bruno will let this one go. Obviously, one double up for Bruno, and he will be the chip leader. Pocket sevens. He's probably gonna raise this one up. I'm surprised that Bruno all-ins so much less in heads up than he does in, 5-man, 6-man table.
Well, I mean, it's a very different game in heads up, right? Heads up's a lot more post flop and stuff. And I think with the five-handed, it's more like getting everyone else to fold because they're going to overfold because they're just everyone's ICM nit these days, you know. So yeah. Okay, Bruno though, he's putting action 5-7 off. So every time people play these garbage hands, they've been losing a lot of chips. And
Yep.
Kunku's flop a flush draw with a straight draw.
Mm-hmm. That's I think a very sweet flop for Konku. I don't think you can complain about it too much. He may still feel behind, which he isn't, but there's no way you fold here. Well, he's just gonna go all in immediately.
He's just like, end it. You know,
Yeah.
if you got it, you got it. I'm just gonna bank it anyways.
I wonder how many people are cheering right now, just waiting. I'm like, all right, when is Kunku gonna get the hand that I predicted would win this tournament?
Two
And then
jacks.
please go for it. I mean, I got they tagged me in the tweet, GGPoker, and I got so many tweets. The poker community loves raffles and giveaways, Nanonoko. I was like, what's happening to my Twitter? 99 plus notifications? I'm like, geez, Louise, everybody's participating.
Of course. I mean, you gotta love free stuff. Thanks to GG for
Yeah.
handing that stuff out.
It's funny as well because I made another tweet, like StarCraft related, a little bit before that, and I was like, it was kind of a funny tweet, but I was like, it wasn't that funny. How did I get this much action? And I'm like, oh, I see what's happening over here, Gigi. Pair of nines for Bruno. Conqueror decides to just check it. Obviously, these kinds of pots are already so valuable for Bruno. Like 2.1 million chips would be more than welcome.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like Kunku feels obligated to bet the ace, and rightfully so. You're gonna represent the ace really well, but Bruno's got third pair. It's not a good spot, but he's thinking I'm up against a crazy guy, so maybe I will call, and he does make the call.
It's an excellent call, but what do you do right now if Konku bets again? And he does bet again, 2 million real quick as well. To be honest, oh my God,
Oh,
Bruno
wow.
makes the call. What an amazing call. Again, Bruno. Man, he's been playing some sick poker tonight, and now he's back to 13 million. Nanonoko, we might make it to another break if this continues, and I have no idea how we did that, but we might get there.
Yeah, it seems like Kunku Rap's little bluffs, they haven't really been going his way. He got Bruno down to 4 million, but he kind of just splashed a little bit, let his opponent catch up. I would love to see Kunku. I like that he's putting on the pressure and keeping it up, but would love to see Kunku slow down in some spots a little bit because clearly Bruno's not folding a single pair to you right now, and I would love to see Kunku just play some solid hands for a little bit.
I'm gonna be honest. I love that river bet. Like, it didn't work out, but I loved it. You know, otherwise you're giving up. You know you're not gonna win it. And I actually thought it was a really good bet. It's just that Bruno is a sicko and makes absolutely amazing calls all night long.
Well, both players have a good pair, but the 8 should kill action.
Well, will it though with these two? Is there any card that will kill the? Oh my goodness!
Oh yes, that is the Kunku River, disguised for. If Bruno's gonna think his hand is good, he might want to go for some value, right? And he's gonna get raised.
And will he then make the call? This is one of these hands that could really spiral out of control as well. And obviously Kunku just bluffed the previous round. And obviously Kunku Rep is like, makes it.
The min raise.
Min raise immediately.
The thing is, it looks really strong, but the thing is, it's Kunku Rep, and that's what Bruno's thinking. And Bruno's thinking, man, every time I've called this guy, he's been bluffing.
Well, besides that Queen 7 time.
But usually, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you're wrong here, that's a big one, because then you drop to 4.8 million. You're sitting at 12 big blinds then.
But if you make the wrong fold, it's also disastrous too. So, you know, there's two sides to it. And Bruno is really thinking, Bruno might outlevel himself. He's like, I got the jack of diamonds. I blocked some flush. Oh, there's a ship it emoji. What does that mean?
The old rule of rounders, right? When they act strong, they're weak. And when they act weak, they're strong. But Kunku has flipped it.
Oh, it works. It works.
Bruno makes the call with the 7 and will receive the bad news that the 4 on the river was disastrous to him. And for
Bruno's
everybody
like,
that participates,
Bruno's like, I'm not getting emojied by this guy. I'm calling.
this could actually be it, Nano. Like we have a flush draw on the side of Bruno with a couple of backdoor straight draws as well. And Kunku rep flop top pair with a backdoor flush draw.
We
I
know
feel like this
Kunku's
hand
just going
could
to
be
ship it in, right? He's just going to rip it in. Okay, he just raised.
Bruno can't fold here. There's too much in the middle with his stack. I feel like you just got to go for it. And he will go for it. Kunku rep makes the call. And Bruno needs a diamond. He gets the diamond back to 9.6 million. All right.
We couldn't end it with Queen 4 clubs because we know no one picked Queen 4 clubs in their special giveaway, right?
Well, we had a lot of entries. I'm pretty sure somebody picked Queen 4 of clubs. I gotta say, I haven't seen my hand in forever. It's almost destiny. Feeling good about my Jack 10 of hearts prediction right now.
Wow, so Bruno's back. But Bruno's been down to 4 million twice now.
Yeah. Back from the dead. How many lives does this man have?
Kunku picks up a 3 from check calling a flop.
And the king high flush draw as well.
Oh, counterfeit.
So the ace of Bruno plays here. That's actually pretty sick that Bruno wins that hand because on that turn I didn't really expect him to win. Conqueror makes the call with king high. And we'll receive the bad news. They lose to 8. Man, that was a big pot as well. Now Bruno is back to 12 million again. It will never end. It's a great heads up match though.
Yeah, this has been really good. It's like this one and that Danny Arcana Andrade one was really good. Yeah. Like they're different, but they're both very fun and very swingy.
I mean, last week was insane as well. We also had some really big swings. Bruno takes another one down, 12.7 million. We're closing in on another break, and I think we will get there. The blinds will go up again in 5 hands. Now, obviously, already very big. Ooh. Ace King for Kunku rep. That is a hand I think a lot of people predicted to win the entire tournament. It's always a safe pick, right? The Ace King
ships it in. Oh, what a love Kunku rep. He should have made it a little bit smaller.
I agree. I mean, that's actually such a big hand. I almost forgot what real hands look like. He gets queens the next hand. Are you kidding me?
10-8 is playable, so he's going to make the call.
And the thing is, if Kunku bets on a board like this, you almost never believe him. You're like, you've got nothing. Well, Bruno, he does have something. This would be the wrong moment to be a hero.
Bruno's thinking about check raising because he, like he said, he doesn't think, why would you bet so big on this paired board? You don't got anything. But we know it would not work. Bruno's been making plays at Kunku rep pretty regularly. Is going to go for the check raise, and Bruno's back down to 6.6 million chips.
Yep. Wow. You know what's so brutal as well is that every single time you make a play like that, your heart will start beating a little faster. Kunku does show the pocket queen, so that's some sort of consolidation. But
kind of.
Yeah, not really.
King deuce suited.
I mean, I don't hate king. I don't hate king deuce suited heads up though, right? It's gonna be better than the majority of the hands you'll go up against.
Don't you like the pressure he's put on? Because almost every pro would just call there, right, and see a flop. But Kunku's like, no, I want to put the high variance game, put the pressure on, and the blinds are up now.
Yep, that means that Bruno is down to 11 bigs and could potentially go all in here. He will go all in, and Kunku is going to let it go. The thing is as well, like whenever you just keep going all in, even if you get called, like what's the worst thing that could happen if your opponent has 5 million chips? He doubles up, he gets 10 million, but most of the time you have 2 live cards and let's say a 40% chance to win the tournament. Yeah, and if they fold, it's always good. So that's why I like just the all-ins. This could be it, Nano. This could really be it. The slow play coming out of Bruno.
It's going to be a ship, right? Like
King ship and an insta-call. Oh, no ship. Okay.
Still going to be insta-call, though, once Bruno ships it in. King Queen, definitely a hand that it seems like a giveaway hand, doesn't it?
Yep, the King Queen offsuit. Ace Jack is going to go for the... What? How did we see a flop? Okay, but there's no way that, like, you can't let this go of your Bruno, right? Like 4.6 million in the middle. You're sitting at 4.6 million.
Yeah, I just am so shocked that Bruno just didn't ship it in because his opponent probably would still call it off. I don't know about the min re-raise. There's almost a min bet. It's just a hand that's crazy.
Yeah.
Can Kunku Rep get away? No, he's going for a check raise. What is going on? What
Yeah,
is
but the
going
thing,
on?
like Bruno's not gonna fold. I just don't believe it. He might just be like, well, if you've got a pair, you've got a pair. There's also a good chance, yeah, he's just gonna go for it. This is just so weird. All of this was so weird.
Yeah, this Kunku Rep just throwing some chips now. It's just like maybe you gotta okay. Well, Kunku Rep somehow, I know he played that hand wild. Somehow got a check raise in there with 12 big blind effective, but he saved some chips.
He did save some chips. He would have had to pay 3 million to potentially end the tournament, but he doesn't want to give his opponent any more than he already gave him there. And that means that we managed to get to our second break. I feel like this heads-up match was supposed to end 25 to 30 minutes ago. Somehow it didn't. We've had a big switch, of course, because Bruno was a dominant chip leader before. Kunku Rep has been a dominant chip leader a couple of times. Right now, he still has 8 million chips more than his opponent, but it's getting closer, guys. We're going to take a couple of minutes, and then we will wrap up, hopefully, the 15th edition of the High Rollers Super Millions. Or maybe we'll have another epic heads-up match that will last for an hour. That would be a record. But tonight has been wild. There's a chance. Don't think it's going to happen, though. We'll take a couple minutes, and we'll see you guys then. Alrighty, guys, we are back to continue the heads-up match between Kanku Rap and Bruno Volkmann. Before we do that, I want to mention one more time, actually for the first time tonight, that on Saturday we're running a new promotion. It is an event called Beat the Pros. It starts at 8 p.m. Central European time on Saturday. It's a really fun event. All the influencers, all the streamers, and a couple of the GGPoker pros are playing in it. If you knock one of us out, you'll get a free roll into a 10K event, I believe. And overall, it's just a very fun event. It's a $210 bounty event. And I had a blast playing it last Saturday. Did not do very well. Made some people happy as they got some bounties. Even went for the rebuy nano. No luck in that one either, but it's really fun. And of course, the GG series of poker is still going on as well. It will run till the 27th of September. Lots of different buy-ins. It's kind of a small stake series. Buy-ins vary from $2.50 to $150. And I also played in a couple of those, and they have been really fun. So if you are living in a country where you can play on GGPoker, make sure to check that one out.
Now we're down to 2 still. This match has been going on for a while, but it's been very swingy. It was Bruno with a bunch of chips, and now he's been on the ropes many times. But that last hand, it was ridiculous. The ace jack versus king queen. Somehow didn't get all in. Somehow got some check raises. And they were playing 12 big blind effective.
I know. Like if they were 25 bigs down, I'm like, oh yeah, I could see how this hand played out. But considering that Bruno was starting that hand with like 8 or 9 big blinds, I'm like, what is this action that we're witnessing here? This is so bizarre. It's just the weirdest line. But we've seen a lot of insane hands today. Way too many to even summon up. I think even you will struggle tonight, Nano, by summoning up a couple of the crazy hands we had. Because I feel like we've seen everything and nothing at the same time.
Well, it's not over yet. King 9 makes the call on this board versus the 50% pot C bet correctly. And Bruno's got a game plan. You got to give it to him. Like sometimes he's wrong, but usually he's been right against Kunku in these heads-up match.
Well, the vibes that I'm getting from Bruno is that he hates folding. And he definitely hates folding a pair. We've seen him make crazy calls with king high, ace high. But if you give that man a pair, even if it's third or bottom pair, he will probably stick around because he doesn't believe people at the poker table.
Konku's got ace 6. He's been pretty aggressive with these hands. Maybe he just goes for it again.
If he's wrong, it would be so painful for his tournament life. But he's not wrong. We know he's not wrong. He gets it done. But that's a scary shove as well, though, right?
I like it, though, because like it's so unlikely your opponent's going to call. And I feel like with these ace rags, like if you don't flop an ace, they're hard to play. You know what? Just close your eyes, pick up the extra big blinds.
And scream fold into your microphone. Yeah. This has been a great match, and what a roller coaster it has been tonight for Kanku Rap. Came into the final table with his biggest cash being $27,000. He is now on his way to winning more than 550K, but Bruno is not going anywhere anytime soon. He's going to lead out here with his king 10. I've got 4 outs to the nuts. That's pretty good.
Yeah, well, you know, yeah, because with Kanku Rap, I do like the aggressive play he does. And of course, in heads up, blinds come around every other hand, right? So, you know, like being aggressive definitely pays off more in heads up because I think in like a full ring table, like you got time to wait. But here, if your opponent waits too long, they're going to be down to like 10 to 15 big blinds. And here's the 3 deuce suited. Okay, let's go. I mean, Bruno's been opening some garbage hands. Man. I was gonna say this is a monster flop for Bruno, but maybe a monster in Kunku's point of view. He's got a pair of deuces.
Yeah. He's like, well, that's the least I was hoping for when I'm 3-betting this hand. I don't think Bruno's obviously going anywhere with 2 overs and a flush draw.
Bruno's thinking about shipping it in. He could get a lot of folds from better hands like, you know, ace highs, obviously. King highs, he is going to ship in. Does Kunku go with the pair of deuces, though? I don't know, man.
No, that's like an almost impossible call.
I mean, I'm sure no one has picked 3 deuce suited to win the tournament, but this would be... It does make the fold.
And that means that Bruno is our nil chip leader as he clawed his way back. And now he's the one sitting at 17 million while being down to 4 or 5 million chips, not once, but twice in this heads-up match. pretty insane. What a match. And he started this with like 25 million, right? Like that's the craziest thing of it all. I don't know what to say.
It's been crazy, and it's not over. I mean, Kunku makes the call over bottom pair.
Well, if bottom pair was good on the flop, it's still good on the turn, right?
That's right. And it's pretty hard for Bruno to keep betting, though. I think he's just going to check down.
That's a real feels good moment for Kunku Rep. He's like, yeah. See what I'm calling you with, mate? Picks up ace-jack suited. An absolute monster in a heads-up match. Bruno will make the call with queen 3 suited. Neither player flops anything, which obviously means Kunku is still in the lead. I think he's just going to take it down here. Unless Bruno is like, hey, this is not your board. This is my board. And he makes the raise. Wow.
It calls with ace-jack, and ace-jack is still good. But Bruno's got to be very scared to get bet called on this flop.
He did pick up an open-ended straight draw, which is a whole lot better than he had on the flop.
Another bet.
He gets the fold.
Wow.
What a hand.
That's crazy.
Mate, like, I feel like we're getting so lucky with these heads-up matches, because this could have all ended within 2 or 3 hands, right? And that wouldn't have been surprising, considering the chip stacks. Like, if this would have been over 3 minutes into the heads-up match, I would have been like, yeah, that was to be expected, because Bruno had a 4-1 chip lead. But here we are, a full hour later, and they're still going, they're still trading chip stacks.
And they still keep bluffing each other, right? And King Deuce is going to go for it. These guys don't slow down. Like eventually, you know, when you heads up match, you get called down, you make some bluffs. You're like, I'm gonna mix it up and play a little time. But these two guys, they don't stop. They just keep going for it. Eventually, someone's gonna win.
Mate, I think if these two play heads up against each other in these settings, like 10 times, 9 out of 10 times, this would have already been long over, like for 40 or 50 minutes. It's a miracle that we're still here.
Wow, Bruno just check called a flop bet with Jack 7 high, and he's gonna have to bluff at it. And Kunku makes bottom trips.
Haven't we seen this before with Ace 4 back then?
Well, last time Kunku min raise. I wonder if he goes for the min raise, and he's going for a bigger. He's trying to mix it up a bit with the raise. I like the raise though. I like the sizing.
I think he's targeting a queen. He's like, you've got a queen, right? You're not folding a queen to me here. Like, well. He didn't have a queen. He had Jack 7 of diamonds. Oh, okay.
This could be it because Kunku plays his hands quickly, and Bruno's going to feel very obligated to ship in 2 5s because Kunku's been 3-betting 3 deuce suited and all these other garbage hands. 2 5s is a gold mine right now.
I think he. Okay, let's see what Bruno does. He just makes the call, but that is not. That is not the flop I think he wants to see. That's such a scary flop. I mean, if I'm Bruno
for 2 5s.
Yeah, no, that's what I meant. When I said scary, I mean like scary as in like that looks pretty good. You're gonna think that your 5s are still good here, but they're not.
Oh man, and I still think a lot of chips can still go into this pot.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm 100% with you. If I'm sitting on 2 5s here, I absolutely believe I have the best hand. But Kunku Rep just goes for it, all in with the 7s, and Bruno has a very tough decision, basically for his tournament life. He makes the fold. That's a great fold. Oh my goodness. I honestly think a lot of people would call there with 5s. And I think I would call with 5s.
This one could get it in too, right? Like 2 deuces, you got to just ship this in. Your opponent's raising a lot. Here it goes.
And I think Kunku Rep is going to call, right, with ace 9?
You got to make this call, Kunku Rep. I think he's just surprised that he's actually going to... Oh, wow, he folds ace 9. I don't know why. I think Kunku Rep was like, has never been in a spot where he calls all in against Bruno all in pre-flop. Just like, I don't want this match to end. This is too much fun.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I really feel he would call with like a king queen suited or something.
Yeah, he was just like, nah, they don't want it. I don't know. I think that was a bit of a mistake, but Kunku Rep just really didn't want this match to end. He really didn't. I don't know what's going on. Those last 2 hands could have got it all in easily.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm feeling about 57 hands we've seen between these two. All right, Jack 5 with the raise here. Bruno sitting on Jack 3 suited. Both make the call. They both make top pair, but this is most likely a chop pot though, right?
It could easily chop, but then again, it's many turns and the ace of spades it can crush.
Yeah, Konko might actually still feel pretty good about his hand. He's like, betting top pair, pick up a flush draw. They will chop it up if nobody folds.
There's come on, no one's folding this hand. These two guys folding a jack, impossible, right? Like Bruno's never folded a second pair or third pair. What makes you think he's gonna fold a jack? But Bruno here,
well,
thinking about Kenny bet.
If one of them goes big, no, I think that's just a call. I think you're right. All right, it will go chop. Everybody loves a chop pot.
I'll be so shocked if these two guys fold. Give this hand to someone else, maybe they find a fold somewhere. But yeah, you know what's crazy is that Kunku Rap rejams ace 4 offsuit, ace deuce off, king deuce, right? But in the ace 9, he's like, I don't want to call it off. I don't want to go for it. I just like shipping. I like to bluff. I don't like to call.
Yeah, I mean, you did say this as well, right? That it's a lot easier to go all in than it is to call all ins. And in general, you feel like your hands need to be a lot stronger to call all ins. But obviously, we saw that he had deuces, right? Like if he has ace 10 or ace jack, and then it's like, oh, ace 9 is pretty bad. Like, what are you beating here? You know, it is one of those moments.
Yeah, it's okay. You know, you make a brain fart once in a while. No big deal. But you know, he still got the chip lead. 2 deuces here. How does he play?
He ships it.
Ripping it. This is insane. I love it.
I cannot believe how long this heads-up match has been going. Ace 9 this time for Bruno, as he's going to make the raise. Queen 8 of diamonds will call, and Konku Rap makes middle pair. Bruno sitting comfortably on top pair. What a turn card. I feel like this is going to end bad for Bruno. I've got a bad feeling about this for Bruno.
I mean, he's ahead though, and he's
I know he's ahead, but
it's all in. This is it.
Can you?
I mean, it's not it, but there's a lot of. He's not folding ace 9. Come on, you can't fold this.
And he doesn't fold. Bruno needs to avoid a queen 8 or a diamond, or it is all over. And he avoids it, makes the 9, so he will be back to 23 million chips. And we are, Nano, back to where we started more than an hour ago.
Wow, a Kunku Rap could not get it done. I would have loved to see him continue to pre-flop style, but, you know, he's here with so little chips. But he's going to just ship it in. I can't believe Bruno's back to 22 million.
They've both been up and down, side to side, like a roller coaster, okay? That's the only way to put this heads-up match between these two. And I feel like it's just never going to end. Blinds go up one more time, 300k, 600k at this point, which means that Konku Rap is down to 12 bigs, a little less. I mean, he has to go for it. He's got to start shipping a whole lot more hands.
I mean, he has been shipping it, so it definitely will be going in soon.
Hey, look at the clock, by the way. Bruno's pretty much out of time.
Yeah, but good thing it's a very shallow stack, so it shouldn't be too tough for him to make decisions.
He's going to bet here with pocket tens. Konku has almost nothing going for him on this board and will make the fold. I don't really want to see Konku play any more flops. Like, it's clearly A, not going well, and B, he doesn't have the stack for it anymore. I just want to see him go all in a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you. Right now, he's just kind of waiting for some reasonable hand. King 3, I don't think he's going to let this go, right? He might, but I think you got to close your eyes soon and just go for it.
I feel like right now, I would almost ship whatever I get. Yeah, that's 100% all in. Okay. King 7 will get it done, so Konku picks up a very valuable big blind, but he needs a whole lot more to catch up to Bruno. Bruno just calls. Konku is hoping to flop something, but doesn't really flop anything. The only thing he really has going there is a backdoor straight draw and a backdoor flush draw. I really feel any two cards, if I'm Konku, I go all in. Even 10.
I mean, at this point, like you don't have many blinds. You do
Exactly.
have to go for it because you're gonna eat the big blind. You fold the big blind. Now you're down to like 5 big blinds, and this is the hand that's gonna be all in.
Oh, that's so close to what I predicted, by the way. I predicted Jack 10 of hearts. We have the Jack of hearts, but it's a 10 of diamonds. Can Bruno close it out? It seems like the answer is yes, unless we get a king or an 8 on the river. Bruno will be the 15th champion of the High Roller Super Millions played over at GGPoker. Incredibly well done. I know a lot of focus is going to be on this ridiculous, crazy heads-up match we just saw. But let's not forget what happened in the first hour in Ananoko. Bruno was taking this table by storm, was absolutely steamrolling the competition, and we loved the way he was playing in the first hour.
Yeah, I can't even remember anyone else who was at this final table because it was all just these two guys, right? Eventually in the final table, Bruno Volkman, he picked up the stack and he just shipped it in. He kept raising. He picked up a lot of chips. Eventually it was down to these two guys, right? The chip leader, right? He came in as a chip leader, lost a lot of chips and came back. And then that heads up match, we thought it was going to be over really quick. It was 25 million to 5 million against Kunku Rap. And then somehow Kunku Rap made it happen. He was playing the most ridiculous hands. Like you said, I can't really recap too many hands because they're just too crazy. But he was re-raising like 3-2 suited. He was check-raising all these random boards. He kept reshipping like Ace Rag and King Deuce. And he had Bruno down to 4 mil. He flip-flopped it, had him down to 10 big blinds several times. And Bruno just kept his cool. But Bruno actually, usually against such a crazy opponent, a lot of guys like to play really solid, not really go check raising too much, but Bruno kept check raise bluffing, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, and he tossed a lot of chips away, and he 3-bet and 4-bet bluff of Jack 3 offsuit. It was such a crazy match, and Kunku almost closed it out. I think some of the key defining moments is when he had a lot of chips, he kind of still splashed a little bit too hard post flop, and let Bruno get back in.
I almost wish that he would have just played less post flop. If you're having a 4-1 chip lead, just go for it. And even if you get it all in and you're a bit behind, right? Like, what's the worst thing that could happen? That he goes up to 10 million? If you keep losing those pots post flop, he's going to get back to 10 million anyway. And I feel that Ace-9 was the hand of the evening. Not just because of the fold against the deuces, obviously there's something to be said for that. But let's not forget earlier in this final table where we had Daniel DeVoris having Ace-9 on the big blind. And then we had, I think it was Faso opening up with kings, and the flop game Ace-King-9. That was obviously a very hand-defining moment for, well, a lot of things that happened on this final table later on. One move that I won't forget is everybody's playing crazy besides Matthias Eibinger. Just kind of solid as a rock, he's grinding. And the one time where he's like, you know what, small blind, 10-6 suited, I'll go for it. And he gets snap called by 9s and it's in the big blind. And he's like, this is why I don't do this kind of stuff, That one will stick with me as well. But overall, this was a pretty crazy final table.
Yeah, very crazy. And congrats to Bruno. I thought he played great. Do you remember that play he made against Helen Clark where he reshipped the Queen 10 offsuit?
Yeah, that was
they were playing. Yeah, it was he's an amazing player. We didn't know much about him because we've seen him before, but he wasn't a player that stuck in my mind. But now I'm definitely going to remember him. I think he's very good. He was played excellent pre-flop post. He just understands how to play. And the thing is, those Brazilian guys, they are not afraid. They are fearless. If they're at your table, man, you just got to hold on and click the call button, right? Because they just always going for it. It was an amazing final table. I'm happy to watch that one again.
Yeah. Last week we had fun as well, but it was a bit slower. This one was nuts. I love the way that Bruno was playing early on, like treating it like it's a hyper turbo. And since the blinds go up by the amount of hands that are being played, if you play like 40 hands in 30 minutes, it's like, then it actually kind of becomes an hyper turbo. Very well done. It's got to feel so good for him as well, because winning is always amazing. Winning more than $500,000 is fantastic. But he was such a dominant chip leader for the longest time. And if you then win it, you're like, yeah, okay, I won it, but I ran really good and I played pretty well. But he was actually so close to losing it in the heads-up match twice. And to then still turn it around and then still end up winning, that's got to feel twice as good as just winning it in a very straightforward manner.
Yeah, it's amazing. But, hats off to Kunku Rap. Like, The guy probably doesn't play professionally, but I'm sure he had a wild and fun time, and he's very aggressive, and that's really cool. We've had multiple guys who don't play professionally get to these final tables, but get very far. Remember Holiday? Holiday was one of those guys as well, but they end up getting second place, and that's still an amazing feat for someone who doesn't play, because these guys are all sickos, right? They always play professionally, but these guys, they play their game. It's not conventional, but it's aggressive and unconventional is what you need to do to throw off these professionals, because otherwise they're just gonna out chip you and grind you away slowly, and you need that variance to kind of just give yourself a chance to battle them.
I think that's a beautiful way to close it out today, Nanonoko. Thank you very much for your expert commentary as always. Hopefully you guys at home enjoyed the show. Make sure to follow the channel on Twitch if you haven't done that yet. If you fancy a chance to participate in one of the High Roller Super Millions, there are satellites running all week long. Of course, this tournament always takes place on a Sunday, 10K buy-in, and then you play down all the way to the final 9, and then it becomes the Tuesday 9 here over at GGPoker Official. I think that's it. I'm pretty exhausted after watching this intense heads-up match, and I can't wait for more. Of course, once again, make sure to check out the GG series of poker as well. That's still running till the 27th of September, and hopefully see some of you guys on Saturday for the Beat the Pros bounty event, which I genuinely think is a very fun event. Even some of my fellow StarCraft friends are participating in that, so it's a lot of fun. We hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next week for another edition of the High Roller Super Millions played over at GGPoker. Good night.